The story starts off with the main guy suddenly realizing he's not in his usual world anymore. It's like one of those moments in isekai anime where everything looks different, and he just knows something wild has happened. After grinding through school for 9 years, he was finally about to level up and graduate. Just then, the guy stumbles into something wild. He finds out people actually have powers. He just stands there, totally stunned, trying to process what just happened. His mind is racing, and it feels like the whole world just glitched for a second. Once the main guy and everyone else figured out they were actually stuck in a world full of cultivators, things got pretty wild. Panic spread fast. Some people were losing their minds, while others just stood there, completely shook. It was like realizing you'd walked into an actual anime, but now all the crazy training and power level stuff was real, and nobody knew what to do next. Suddenly, a weird message shows up on his screen. It tells him something went wrong, and he has to do it all again from the beginning. When he hears the news, the dude just drops to the ground and loses it. All those 9 years he spent studying feel like a total waste, and he can't hold back the tears anymore. He pauses for a moment, and suddenly a light bulb goes off in his head. All those wild transmigration stories he's seen online come rushing back to him, and he starts to get some ideas. He's pretty sure he's got some crazy hidden power, so he makes his way over to the evaluation ceremony, hyped to find out just how strong he really is. Everybody crowds around this massive monument, buzzing with nervous energy. It's the kind of place where you find out what you're really made of, because here, everyone's abilities get put to the test. Some guys look hyped, others are low-key freaking out, but nobody wants to mess up in front of the whole squad. The main guy totally bombs his results. It hits him so hard that he just loses it and starts crying, wishing he could just dip and head home. Everything's gone off the rails and nothing's working out like he hoped. As he sat there, feeling sorry for himself and thinking about how pointless everything seemed, someone strange showed up out of nowhere. This person caught him off guard, asking something he never saw coming. The guy suddenly hears the man bring up the idea of chasing immortality, and it totally catches him off guard. He freezes for a second, mind blown, trying to process what he just heard. Just like that, he gets brought to this awesome spot up in the mountains, a place everyone knows as the Qingyan Dao Sect. The scenery there is next level, with tall peaks and clouds everywhere, feels like something straight out of an anime. Dua Taiwa, who's in charge of the whole sect, isn't wasting any time. He's already got something lined up for the main guy. Looks like there's a mission waiting for him right out of the gate. The sect master, looking totally stressed out, grabs onto him like he's holding on for dear life. You can tell he's freaking out about something big and really needs help. Su Changju just sits there, chilling with his tea like nothing's wrong. He doesn't look bothered at all, even though everyone else seems tense. It's like he's on a different wavelength, totally unfazed by the chaos around him. The leader lays it all out for the squad. If they don't find 8 new recruits before the year's up, their whole crew is getting shut down. No pressure, right? Everyone can feel the weight of it. Either they step up and save the sect, or it's game over. After hearing what was said, Su Chanju figures they're just one person short from cracking the problem. But things weren't simple, at least according to the master. Every sect out there was already going head-to-head, all trying to get their hands on the new talent. The old guy starts grumbling about how other sects are getting desperate, even going as far as sending out pretty girls to lure in new recruits. Sometimes, they'd send out really attractive girls to get guys interested in joining their group. Even with everything stacked against him, he still found a way to bring Ye Ping onto his team. Ye Ping wasn't exactly a genius, actually. He had no talent at all, but he was willing to help out without asking for anything in return. The main character can barely sit still. He's so hyped. The idea of learning to cultivate has him completely fired up. Honestly, he'd do just about anything if it meant getting that chance. The excitement on his face says it all. This is the moment he's been waiting for. The master starts stressing out, thinking the kid might dip as soon as he learns what's really going on. So, he decides to come up with a backup plan. The plan is pretty straightforward: act like a grandmaster and show off, making up random stuff to teach him. Changyu thought it was hilarious that they could keep messing with the main character for a whole year. The idea of dragging things out like that just cracked him up. Not long after, the disciple started wondering if his master even knew about the nickname everyone had been using for him. With a look that could scare off anyone, he always thought of himself as just another guy with zero talent, like he never had what it takes no matter how hard he tried. Out of nowhere, he suddenly lets loose this insane power, making it clear to everyone that he's way stronger than he looked at first. Su Changyu always acted like he was the king of pretending. He was super confident, thinking nobody in the whole area could fake things better than he could. Whenever there was a chance to show off his skills, he'd jump right in, certain he could outdo anyone around. He throws himself into a flashy pose, acting like he's the main character of his own anime. You can almost feel how proud he is of himself. Meanwhile, his master just stands there confused and probably thinking this guy's confidence is way over the top. The old man thinks that as long as he can get the new guy to stick around for a year, everything will work out. He's not too stressed, just focused on keeping the rookie in place, counting down the days until things settle down. The leader totally didn't see it coming. The senior disciple just shuts down the request, looking dead serious and not backing down at all. He thinks tricking the kid for a whole year would be way too easy for someone like him. That's just not enough of a challenge for his skills. The guy stands tall, chest out like he's ready to take on the world. He's got this intense look, like he's dead set on making the main character love being part of the crew. Not just now, but even if he gets another shot at life. It's almost like he's throwing down a challenge, making sure everyone knows he means business. His master watches him and can't help but be impressed. The way he pulls off the role, acting all cool and confident, it actually surprises his master. Honestly, he didn't expect the guy to be this good, and deep down, he's kind of proud. Change was feeling himself, acting all confident like he couldn't lose. He got so hyped up about this mission that he started making wild promises, like saying he'd straight up eat a whole sword, dipping sauce and everything, if he messed this up. After the conversation wraps up, he heads out, letting the kid know he'll be hanging around the back mountain, waiting. Changi doesn't even look back when his master offers to help. He just shrugs it off and strolls away, acting like he's too cool for any of that. The way he carries himself, you'd think he owned the place, totally confident and not bothered at all. He says he's changed a lot from the old days, back when he always needed someone to help him out. Now, he's not that same guy anymore. The guy throws up a hand sign that's so unique, everyone around stops and looks. The sect leader's eyes go wide as he notices the move. He can't believe what he's seeing. His mind races, trying to figure out if it's really that legendary technique he's heard about. It's almost unbelievable, but all the signs are there, leaving him stunned and a bit anxious. Shingui's face goes all serious as he starts thinking about a time when everything's good, like, the world is actually chill and full of good vibes, just the way his master always hoped it would be. Right after that, he pulls off this insane sword move, but instead of grabbing a real sword, he just uses his fingers like he's got some kind of cheat code. The sect master just stands there, totally shocked. He can't believe what he's seeing. It really is that famous sword move everyone talks about. His mind is blown, and for a second, he can't even process it. Jane Ju just stood there, totally clueless. Even after 10 years, he hadn't picked up a single new thing. It didn't make sense to him how someone could go that long and not level up at all. Watching his brother get transformed, it's like nothing even matters to the guy in charge. The dude just shoots a cocky look, acting like it's no big deal, totally unfazed, almost like he's flexing on everyone just because he can. The sect leader's face drops when it hits him. He's been tricked yet again. The disappointment is all over him, like he just lost a game he thought he had in the bag. It's not the first time, and honestly, he's starting to look done with it. The guy couldn't help but crack up, letting everyone know he'd just been messing around. Turns out he still needed a lift after all. As the sky gets dark and the sun disappears, everything's ready for the big meetup at the top of the mountain. Suchanji stood by himself in his awesome-looking place, just hanging out and waiting for the main guy to show up. The whole vibe was kind of intense, with everything around him looking cool, but he kept checking around, hoping the MC would get there soon. Even though he's trying to look chill, he's actually freezing. He pulls his jacket tighter and tries to stop shaking, hoping no one notices how cold he really is. He sneezes, kind of annoyed with himself for choosing such a freezing spot just because it looked cool. Out of nowhere, he picks up on someone nearby. He straightens up right away. It's obvious the main guy just showed up. He snaps to attention, switching gears fast as he gets ready to put on a show. The main guy shows up looking totally wiped out, barely able to catch his breath. Even though he's tired, he can't help but be amazed at how crazy powerful these immortals are. Like, next-level stuff he's never seen before. Yiping stands frozen, totally blown away by the guy in front of him. The dude's presence is just on another level, making Yiping feel like he's staring at some kind of boss character in a game. His jaw almost drops as he tries to wrap his head around how intense this person looks. Under the bright glow of the full moon, the senior brother really gives off those main character vibes. He stands there looking totally calm and in control, kind of like the bosses you see in cultivation anime. If anyone saw him right now, they'd probably think he was some legendary master or something. He locks eyes with the main guy, his stare sharp and kind of mysterious, like he's about to pull off something epic. The whole vibe feels intense, and everyone can tell he's about to kick off his big moment. The main guy stands at the edge of the cliff, eyes locked on Sue as she completely transforms him. He can't look away, caught between shock and curiosity, wondering what he's even seeing. The whole moment feels unreal, like some wild scene straight out of an anime. Out of nowhere, the senior brother brings out this crazy blue lightning that crackles all over his sword. He stands there with the energy lighting him up, looking almost untouchable, like some kind of anime boss. Yiping just stands there, totally stunned. He can't believe his eyes and starts to think maybe he's actually looking at a real sword immortal. At that moment, the main guy gets this strange vibe about everything going on. Something just feels off, and he can't shake the uneasy feeling creeping up on him. He wonders how a group that picked up someone as plain as him could end up with a disciple this amazing. Right then, a wild idea hits him out of nowhere, and his mind just goes blank from how crazy awesome it could be. The guy starts daydreaming, thinking the sect might actually be some hidden club full of crazy strong masters. In his head, it's like they're all legendary fighters, the kind you'd see in epic anime battles, secretly running things from the shadows. He gets super hyped, just imagining that anyone around him might have the power to make him crazy strong. He suddenly starts thinking back to when he first showed up at the sect that morning. He remembers the place looking totally wrecked, like it was about to collapse any second. Everything was old, dusty, and clearly no one had been there for ages. Back then, he barely noticed how beat up the place looked. But now, looking back, he realizes it was actually kind of extra-like, way more run down than it needed to be. Even though the whole place looked wrecked, it was super clean, like not a single speck of dust anywhere. He couldn't help but think that was pretty weird, and it definitely caught his attention. He finally connects the dots and figures out that the whole thing was just a cover-up to keep their real power hidden. He just stands there, totally blown away. In his mind, it doesn't matter how many immortals you line up. Even if there were 3 million of them, they'd still fall short compared to his senior brother. Changgu hears what's going on and can't help but grin. He's actually impressed by the MC's vibe. There's just something cool about him. So, Changgu decides to take the MC under his wing, almost like a big brother looking out for a newbie. Changgu gets a boost from the compliment, feeling pretty good about himself. Wanting to show some appreciation, he figures it's his turn to flex a little and decides to put on a show. The guy steps up and lets the main dude know he's about to hook him up with a chance to level up his skills. He charges up and fires off a massive burst of energy straight at the main guy, aiming to take him down. Yiping goes flying back from the hit, totally caught off guard by what just happened. He's left staring, wide-eyed and shocked, trying to process how things escalated so fast. Changju started talking about the breeze, saying it wasn't just some regular wind. Turns out, it's actually a secret move that makes you level up your skills way faster than normal. Basically, if you can figure out how to use it, your powers get a serious boost. The guy just stands there, completely stunned. He can't believe what he just saw. No normal group would ever have a move that strong. It's way above anything he expected, and now he's realizing he might be in way over his head. Yiping lowers his head in respect, while his senior brother tries to play it cool, doing his best to hide the pain shooting through his arm. In his mind, he couldn't help but laugh. It was literally just a normal breeze. Nothing special, nothing crazy. Right after that, he lets the guy know there's something he wants to ask before getting into any sword lessons. The main guy feels a rush of excitement. He's seen this kind of thing before, like in those stories where the master always puts the apprentice through some kind of test. Now that it's happening to him, he can't help but get hyped, almost like he's about to level up in real life. Fake master stands there, acting all high and mighty, like he's the boss of the place. He looks at the guy, clearly expecting some kind of answer, wanting to know what he thinks is the ultimate level of sword fighting. Change stood there, feeling pretty smug. In his head, he was already planning his next move. No matter what answer the other guy gave, he was ready to call it wrong just to mess with him. Yiping pauses for a second, looking like he's deep in thought. The question about being the best with a sword really hits him, and he can't just brush it off. He takes it seriously, like it actually matters, and you can tell he's trying to figure out what it really means to reach the top. The guy can't believe how perfect that question is for what's going on right now. It just fits the moment so well that he's kind of impressed, almost like the universe lined things up on purpose. He can tell right away that he's dealing with someone on a whole different level, like a true boss. His mind's racing, trying to figure out how to even respond to something that deep. He figures there's no way the answer is that easy, so he starts getting extra careful, second-guessing every move. An hour had already passed, and the main guy was still lost in his own thoughts. Meanwhile, his older bro was starting to get seriously annoyed with him. Changju stood there, shivering and annoyed, thinking about how cold it was getting. He couldn't believe he had to wait out in the freezing air for the new guy. Each second felt longer, and all he could think about was how he was basically turning into a popsicle. After thinking for a while, he finally reveals what he believes is the peak of sword mastery. In his mind, it isn't some flashy move or legendary weapon. It's just a single blade of grass, sharp enough to cut through the sun and the moon. That's how high he sets the bar, aiming for something so crazy that it almost sounds impossible. Suchanju just stands there, totally stunned by how wild the kid's answer was. It's like he can't even process what he just heard, his mind blanking out for a second. In his head, even a plain blade of grass turned into something crazy powerful. The guy starts picturing this random blade of grass in his head, but it's not just any grass. He sees it slicing straight through the sky, even tearing through the stars like it's nothing. The idea is so wild, it feels like something out of an anime power-up scene, one little thing holding unreal power. He couldn't believe what just happened. The whole thing hit him like a truck, and honestly, not even he could have thought up something that smooth. It totally caught him off guard, leaving him speechless and a little impressed at the same time. Yiping started to wonder if he'd pushed things over the line. He couldn't help but replay what he'd just said in his head, trying to figure out if he'd messed up or said something that might tick someone off. Deep down, the senior brother actually thinks the line is pretty awesome. He makes a mental note to steal it for himself someday. He starts acting all high and mighty, kind of like he's the boss. He looks at the main guy, thinking he's trying to do something way out of his league right now. Changju steps up to help out. He grabs his sword, looking determined, ready to back up the main guy. It's obvious he's about to do something big for him, and you can tell he means business. He moves fast, dropping down and making this glowing mark right in front of him on the ground. He left a sword mark on purpose, wanting the main guy to check it out and learn how the move works. He let them know that the mark held some crazy powerful sword energy like next-level stuff. Then, with total confidence, he said he'd be back in a week, leaving everyone to wonder what he had planned. The main guy can't believe his luck. He's all hyped up now, totally convinced he's made it into a squad full of legends. The guy bolts off, grinning like he just leveled up, pumped to track down the rest of the crew so they can keep the show rolling. He spots a girl just chilling on a rock right in the middle of the bamboo forest. The girl turned to him, curious about what he really thought of the new guy's skills. She spins around, showing off her good looks while she waits to see what her senior brother will say. He catches her trying to sneak a look and isn't happy about it, making it clear she shouldn't be snooping. She just shrugs it off, saying she was only curious and wanted to know what was going on. Changju suddenly thought it'd be cool to try out his new acting moves on his junior sister. He suddenly switches topics, leaving the girl totally lost and wondering what just happened. He stands there, totally confident, like he's some kind of sword master. He looks at her, wanting to see if she even has a clue about what it means to be at the very top with a sword. She's confused, not really sure why he suddenly mentioned that. He thinks that being the best with a sword means you could use something as simple as a blade of grass to cut through even the sun and the moon. That's how next level he wants his skills to be, like totally unstoppable. The girl listens to what he says and can't help but be amazed. Her eyes light up, showing just how much she looks up to him. She points out how good his acting is. And Changju instantly puffs up, striking a pose like he's the main character in an anime. He's clearly loving the attention. After messing around for a bit, he suddenly switches gears and gets all serious again. Now, he wants her to focus and actually answer his question. He's curious about how fast she thinks the new guy will catch on to sword intent. He admits he has no clue what this whole sword intent thing is about. Honestly, he's just as lost as anyone else, and it turns out his sister's in the same boat. She doesn't get it either. The girl's face twists up in total confusion, like her brain just glitched out. She's staring, trying to process what just happened, but it's like her mind hit the pause button. Whatever she just heard makes zero sense to her, and she's left standing there completely stunned. 2 hours later, the guy's still sitting up on that cliff, lost in his thoughts. He's been trying to meditate, staying super still while the wind messes with his hair. Time feels like it's crawling, but he's determined to keep going, just sitting there, locked in his own little world. He sits down in front of the mark on the ground, totally focused. He's checking it out, trying to figure out what happened, almost like he's solving a mystery in his head. The main guy stared at it for a second. To him, it just seemed like an ordinary crack, nothing special. He couldn't help but start questioning if his master really knew what he was talking about. Doubt crept in, making him wonder if he was just overthinking things. He shakes his head, feeling kinda dumb for even thinking that way. Deep down, he knows his brother's legit. There's way too much proof that the guy's a total pro. He starts thinking maybe he just hasn't given it his all yet, so he steps up and gets even closer to the target, determined to prove he can do it. His eyes light up and he zones in, totally convinced that this time he's got it. The guy just can't stop thinking about that weird crack in the ground. He keeps going back to it, trying to figure out what's really going on. It's like his brain won't let it go, and every time he looks at it, he feels like there's some big mystery hiding right under his nose. Out of nowhere, the main guy catches a glimpse of someone strange in his own reflection. It's like, for a split second, there's a shadowy figure just chilling in his eye, and it totally throws him off. Inside his head, he pictures a swordsman who looks insanely strong, glowing with this cool blue energy all around him. The figure grips a long sword that's blazing with energy, looking like it could slice through anything. The way it glows makes it clear there's some serious power behind it, almost like something straight out of an epic anime fight. Right after that, the warrior starts showing off his sword moves to the main guy. The MC watches closely, kind of amazed at how fast and smooth the warrior swings his blade. It's like he's in an anime fight scene, moving with confidence and making it look way too easy. The MC can't help but feel a mix of excitement and nerves, wondering if he'll ever be able to pull off something that cool. He moves fast, every step packed with serious strength. Watching him, the main guy can't help but be totally blown away. Right then, it's like a huge bell goes off in his head. Everything suddenly clicks, and a wild idea hits him all at once. He starts to notice 12 different sword moves popping into his head. At first, they're kind of blurry, but then each move gets sharper and more detailed, almost like he's replaying a sick highlight reel in his mind. Suddenly, in his mind, he saw himself training with a sword that glowed like something out of an anime. The energy around him felt intense, and it was like he'd leveled up just by holding it. Every move looked cooler than the last, and he couldn't help but feel like a main character unlocking some hidden power. The main guy keeps practicing the same moves non-stop, trying to get them down perfectly. He messes up a few times but just shrugs it off and goes again, determined to nail it. It's all about muscle memory now, so he keeps grinding, not stopping until the moves start to feel like second nature. Every time he goes through the moves, he picks up speed. His hits land sharper, way more on point than before. He keeps practicing without taking a break, swinging his sword over and over. Each time, his moves get sharper and stronger, like he's leveling up with every swing. The main guy keeps grinding in his head, leveling up way faster than anyone would expect. He keeps practicing non-stop, picking up new sword moves every day. Before he knows it, he's nailed down 15 different techniques, leveling up his skills like some kind of sword master in training. It doesn't take long before he's got 20 moves down like a pro. Every time he pulls one off, he can feel his strength going up, almost like he's leveling up in a game. It's wild how much stronger he's getting. Suddenly, his brain gets hit with a wave of info, like someone just dropped a whole library in his head at once. It's overwhelming, but also kind of awesome, like unlocking a secret level in a game and realizing you just leveled up big time. Back in the real world, he snaps his eyes open, totally thrown off by how bright the mark is glowing. He sits on the edge of the cliff, totally lost. His mind's a mess, trying to figure out what just went down. Nothing makes sense right now, and he just stares out, hoping something will click. But pretty soon, he figures out that his awesome senior brother was behind everything. The main guy thinks back to that moment when the wind hit just right. He's pretty sure that breeze cranked up his skills way more than he ever thought possible. He starts tearing up, happiness all over his face, and deep down, he feels bad for ever doubting his brother. He's totally wiped out, but deep down, he knows this is only the start. So, even with his muscles screaming, he keeps on pushing himself, not ready to give up just yet. A whole week goes by, and now the scene shifts up the mountain to where the senior brother lives. His place is way up there, looking kind of epic with the clouds and all, like something straight out of an anime. The place gives off serious boss vibes, making it clear this guy isn't just anyone. He's got this treasure box, and inside, it's packed with all sorts of props he uses for his shows. He gets up and starts getting ready, reaching for something to tie his hair back. With his hair pulled back, he looks pretty cool, like he's got his own style going on. Now that he's finished getting ready, he's pumped to see how the kid's doing. Change-Yu glanced up at the sky, thinking to himself that the weather was perfect for what he had in mind today. The clear blue above seemed to hype him up even more, making him feel like nothing could mess up his plans. He grabs his stuff and heads out, feeling pumped. Today feels like the perfect day to show off his skills again. The story kicks off in the middle of some wild mountains. There's this dude just chilling on a bridge, but he looks totally drained, like he just lost a boss fight or pulled an all-nighter. The swordsman is wiped out, barely able to stand after all that training. He's seriously second-guessing his decision to pick this spot, wishing he'd gone somewhere easier. He starts thinking about why everyone acts like being a swordsman is so easy. Honestly, it just gets under his skin. 7 days earlier, he remembered this girl looking at him, kind of doubtful, like she didn't think he got what swinging a sword really meant. That memory stuck with him, echoing in his mind as he tried to figure things out. The girl couldn't help but laugh at him. To her, it was hilarious that he'd been grinding for 10 years but still didn't get the basics. She saw him as kind of a joke, like all that effort and still clueless. He gets all fired up, can't help himself, and gives her a playful smack on the head. He knows she's got the guts, but sword fighting isn't some easy game, and he wants her to understand that. His move was no joke. It was ranked among the top 10 in all of Qingzhou. Even a legendary Taoist had used this technique before, so it was kind of a big deal. His sword moves are split into 4 styles, each one matching a season: spring, summer, fall, and winter. When someone asked him how good he was, he just shrugged and said he was at the level of spring. The girl listening didn't look impressed at all. She just stared at him, totally unfazed. He checks out the map, and it's obvious he's just getting started. The girl does some quick math in her head and figures he'd need like a whole century to really master this thing. The senior brother totally loses his cool with the girl. His face goes red with anger, and he storms off, basically thinking that one day she'll realize just how powerful he really is. He starts wondering how crazy smart someone would have to be to put all the pieces together without any help. The senior brother just rolls his eyes, not taking the girl seriously at all. In his mind, she's just lost in her own world, wishing for something that's never gonna happen. He goes on to show that what really counts isn't the sword itself, but the purpose behind it. With the right intent, even a basic strike can turn super dangerous, making a regular move deadly in an instant. Across 10 entire countries, just one guy ever got anywhere near this kind of power. He ended up turning into a total legend because of it. The girl wouldn't drop it. She kept pushing the question, wondering what would happen if someone really did get that strong. He shakes his head, thinking there's no way anyone could do that. Even the smartest guy in the last 500 years wouldn't be able to pull it off. The swordsman made it clear no way anyone could ever really get what the sword wanted. With that idea hanging in the air, things snapped back to the present moment. He finally gets to where he's heading, and in the back of his mind, he's thinking about his junior brother, wondering if the guy's up already or still knocked out. The guy glances over and spots the main dude sprawled out on the floor, totally beat up and looking like he just got wrecked. The main guy looks totally wiped out, like he's been grinding for days without a break. You can see heavy dark circles under his eyes, showing just how tired he is from all that non-stop training. When his master saw the kid looking beat up like that, he totally froze. He had no clue what went down or how things got so bad. The older guy suddenly catches on that the kid actually believed the wild story he made up just to hype him up. He never expected the kid to take it so seriously, and now he's kind of shocked, wondering how things got this far. Right then, the guy gets hit with a wave of guilt. It suddenly hits him that he might actually be turning into the villain here, and that thought messes with his head. He figures it's probably best for the group if he just goes along with things for now. He tells himself he'll make it up to the kid later, but at the moment, he's just got to keep rolling with whatever's happening. The hero spots his senior bro nearby and flashes him a grin, feeling a bit more at ease. The guy checks in on the kid, curious about how his training's been going. Without wasting any time, he signals for the kid to show off a quick pose, like he's testing if the kid's got any new moves or confidence. The disciple finally felt like he understood what was going on and was pumped about it, feeling grateful for the chance he got. Meanwhile, the other guy just stood there, totally shocked and not believing what he just saw. The senior just stood there, eyes wide, not believing what he just heard. He couldn't wrap his head around it and needed to make sure he'd actually heard the right thing. The hero thought back and realized that, counting that morning, he'd already nailed 400 different moves. He couldn't help but feel a bit proud. After all, hitting that milestone wasn't something just anyone could do. The older guy just stands there, totally speechless, his face showing he can't believe what he just heard. Out of nowhere, he started cracking up, thinking the kid had to be joking. All the kid did was draw a random mark for him, and it looked way too simple to be for real. The hero stands there, totally thrown off by the weird, cold laugh coming his way. He can't figure out what's so funny or why he's suddenly the target. The whole thing just leaves him stuck, awkward, and kind of annoyed, trying to make sense of what just happened. The disciple looks at his master and figures that, for someone on that level, knowing 400 moves probably feels like nothing special. He figured that with the shot he got and some skill on his side, he should have been able to pick up 1,000 moves in just one day. The guy just breaks down and starts crying. He can't help but feel like a total weakling for not knowing more, and it really gets to him. The master could see the kid was upset, so he tried to calm him down. He knew the technique was tough, and messing up was pretty normal. The kid didn't have to pretend or make up stories. Everyone has a hard time with this move at first. The kid stands his ground, looking serious, trying to prove he's telling the truth. The older guy just rolls his eyes, clearly getting fed up. He thinks the kid's just trying to act cool, and you can tell he's done with the whole situation. The hero sits there, feeling pretty down. He can't shake off the thought that his boss thinks he's just not good enough to learn all those 400 cool moves. The idea stings, making him feel like he's missing out on something epic, and he can't help but wonder if he'll ever get the chance. The guy figures that even if he's not super gifted, he can still pick things up. After all, 400 isn't some crazy huge number, he thinks he can handle it. The swordsman hears what the kid says and instantly gets pissed. He can't believe this kid is acting like swinging a sword is something anyone can just do. It feels like the kid's making a joke out of everything the swordsman's trained for, and that just ticks him off even more. He thinks back to all the times he struggled to get better, and how everyone always laughs at regular guys for not leveling up fast enough. The man figured it was time to put the kid in his place. He wanted to see if the kid actually had any real skills, so he challenged him to show what he'd learned. It was like he was saying, "Alright, let's see if he can back up all that talk." The hero jumps right into the challenge, not hesitating for a second. The master just watches, thinking this stubborn kid is about to find out how tough the real world can be. The two of them stood at the peak of a mountain, the sky above them stretching out in a massive, endless blue. It felt like they were on top of the world, just the two of them against the sky, with nothing but open air and freedom all around. The main guy grabs his sword, and out of nowhere, it starts shining with this insane golden energy. It's like the whole blade is lit up, pulsing with power, and you just know something epic is about to go down. Before anyone can even react, he takes off like a rocket, moving so fast it's almost unreal. Behind him, there's this streak of light, like something straight out of an anime, showing just how insanely quick he is. His sword moves are crazy fast, almost like you blink and miss it. Every swing just glides, smooth and effortless, like he's been doing this forever. The hero locks in on the battle, his eyes full of fire and laser focus. Every muscle in his body is tense, ready for whatever's coming next. You could just tell. He's dialed in, no distractions, all in for the win. In just a split second, the guy unleashed 36 sword moves back to back, all at the same time. It was crazy fast, like blink and you'd miss it. The older swordsman stands his ground, not even flinching as the attacks rush toward him. He's just watching, totally chill, like nothing can faze him. He just stands there, totally chill, while the dust and leftover energy from the hits slowly fade away around him. Deep down, the master's mind is blown. He can't believe what he just saw, and for a moment he's totally frozen, not even able to react. The main guy doesn't let up. He keeps going after his master, his moves getting sharper and way faster each second. It's like he's leveling up in real time, pushing harder and not giving his master a break. You can almost feel the energy building with every hit, like he's determined to prove himself no matter what. He kept going, not even slowing down after hitting 36 times. It was like he had endless energy, just powering through without a break. The master just stands there, not even flinching, while his students zip around like crazy. He's just watching them go off, totally unfazed, barely even blinking. Suddenly, a massive blast of golden energy bursts out right where the fight's happening. The whole place lights up, everything around glowing like someone just cranked up the brightness to max. The kid doesn't slow down at all. He just keeps going, pushing through every swing until he hits strike number 108. Right then, out of nowhere, a giant clap of thunder booms overhead. The whole vibe shifts as the sky goes wild and the weather flips in an instant. The older guy suddenly freezes up, like his whole body just stops working. Sweat starts to drip down his face, and he looks like he's seriously freaking out. Lightning starts piling up in the sky, way more than anyone's ever seen. All that electricity comes together, shaping itself into a massive thunder dragon. It's wild, exactly the kind of thing he used to imagine as a kid, but now it's happening right in front of him. Up in the sky, a massive energy dragon bursts out, its roar shaking everything around. The guy watching just stands there, totally stunned. He's never seen anything like this before, and it's almost too wild to believe. The master just freezes, totally stunned. He can't even catch his breath. That's when it hits him. This sound blasting through the air is actually the roar of the legendary dragon. He instantly spots that move. It's the fourth Undersword's technique, but pushed all the way to its peak. He couldn't believe what just happened. His whole goal was to master that move, and he'd been grinding for ages. Now this random kid came along and pulled it off in just a week. It honestly felt unreal, almost like he'd just gotten dumped on in front of everyone. The frustration hit hard, like how could the kid level up that fast when he'd been stuck for so long? Just when everyone thought things couldn't get any crazier, a massive green energy dragon suddenly showed up in the sky. The shot from before was nothing compared to this. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. The dragon's glowing body lit up the clouds, making the whole scene look straight out of an anime fight. Hearts raced, and everyone stared up, totally floored by this wild new twist. 5 seconds tick by, and out of nowhere, that wild dragon roar blasts through the air. At the same time, the Summer Thunder Sword finally comes together, buzzing with fresh energy. Just as it was about to vanish, the Autumn Thunder Dragon burst out, showing up pretty much right after. The timing was so close, it was like they appeared at the exact same moment. Up in the sky, 2 massive energy dragons went off at the same time, their power shaking the whole place. The master could only stare, totally stunned by what he was seeing. This was something he'd never even imagined before. He was completely blown away by the wild scene happening right above him. Right now, the main guy isn't slowing down at all. If anything, he's moving even faster, like he just leveled up mid-battle. The hero picked up speed, racing over the mountain so fast he turned into a streak of gold. Anyone watching would barely catch a glimpse before he was already gone, just a flash zipping across the rocks. By the end, he's moving so fast that he's like a blur of blue energy, a real phantom that nobody can keep up with. At last, the Winter Thunder Sword technique hit its peak. This was the strongest move, and now it was finally complete. Finishing the sword just hit different compared to the last 3. The whole vibe in the room changed, like the air got thicker and everyone could feel it. Senior suddenly feels sweat trickling down his face. Completely stunned by how strong his students have gotten, he just stands there, lost for words as their power hits him like a truck. For the master, it honestly felt like winter had just crashed in out of nowhere. Everything around him seemed cold and empty, like all the energy and life had just drained away. After grinding through 431 non-stop moves, the main guy finally hits pause on move 432. It's like he's been running on pure willpower this whole time, but now he just can't go any further. The week-long grind was finally over, and his master just stood there, totally stunned. The young guy comes to a halt right in front of his boss, waiting to see if he did a good job or if he's about to get roasted. Even after pulling off a bunch of moves back to back, he keeps his eyes locked in, looking super serious and zoned in. But the guy just stands there, not moving an inch. Deep down, he knows something's off. All this time, he's been leaning way too hard on his sword, and now it's catching up to him. The hero suddenly gets it. All this time, he thought he just wasn't good enough, but it turns out the real problem was his weapon holding him back. That realization hits him hard, and everything starts to make sense. He finally gets it. All this time, his senior brother was trying to teach him something way deeper than he realized. It suddenly clicks in his mind what that lesson was really about. The master just stands there, totally confused, looking like he has no idea what the kid just said. His face says it all. He's lost, almost like he's trying to figure out if he missed something important or if the kid's just speaking another language. The young guy thinks about how regular swords are just for cutting, but the sword of the heavens is on a whole other level. It can turn anything around it into a weapon. At that moment, the guy pulls off something wild. He forms a sword made completely out of light right in his hands. His eyes start to shine, giving off this intense vibe, like he's ready to go full anime protagonist mode. He goes all in with his attack, and suddenly, there's this massive blast of light. Everything in front of him just gets wiped out. Nothing stands a chance against that kind of power. The older guy just stands there, totally stunned, like he can't believe what's happening. It's almost as if he thinks he's stuck in some weird dream or glitching out, because the main character suddenly has another one of those wild aha moments that no one saw coming. He figures the Winter Sword is basically the boss when it comes to death and destruction. This time, the whole vibe felt totally different. Instead of being heavy or tense, it was all about fresh starts and new beginnings, like everything was getting a second chance. Energy buzzed everywhere, never really stopping, and from all that hype, a massive tree of life shot up, standing tall and proud. The guy just stands there, looking at the energy sword in his hand. For a second, it feels like nothing else matters, like everything around him fades and it's just him and the weapon he made. It's kind of unreal, almost like he's holding his whole world right there. With just one chill move, that blade could wipe out a whole army, like 10,000 dudes, no sweat. The master just stands there, totally stunned. He can't even process what's right in front of him. It's like his brain glitched out for a second. He's never seen anything like this before, and it completely throws him off. He suddenly freaks out, his heart pounding as it hits him. This is that legendary sword intent everyone talks about. The senior was totally losing his cool, but the young guy just waved off all that golden energy like it was nothing. The hero lets out a sigh, feeling pretty let down. That rush of power he used to have, it's just not there anymore, and it hits him harder than he expected. He feels kind of bummed out about having so much power. In his mind, it's not even worth it, since his so-called talent fizzled out way too fast. As soon as he hears someone call his skills horrible, the older swordsman just stops in his tracks. He's totally stunned, like he can't believe what he just heard. It's like time freezes for him, and you can almost see the shock on his face. Back when he was a kid, he saw a sword sovereign for the first time, and that moment pretty much set him on this path. Everyone figured the guy had unlocked some insane sword power, like, on a whole other level. That basically made him the top prodigy in the whole country. No one even came close. The main guy looks over at his boss, feeling kind of embarrassed. He knows he's just doing the basics, nothing special, and it's obvious he's not impressing anyone. He feels a little awkward about it and wishes he could step up his game. In his head, the master is low-key panicking. He can't help but feel like he doesn't measure up to this kid at all, but he knows he has to keep his cool and not let it show. He tries hard to play it cool, but deep down, he knows the disciple's moves were nothing special. He starts thinking, if that kid is just some regular dude, then what does that make him? Despite his mind racing with a million thoughts, the senior keeps his face chill and collected, not letting anything slip. Out of nowhere, the master spots a glint on a nearby rock. He gets curious, wondering what could be sparkling like that. The hero handed over his notebook, claiming it was filled with training notes. The older guy looked curious and wanted to check it out. The swordsman, looking super focused, grabs his disciple's notebook and starts flipping through the pages. He's checking things out carefully, like he's searching for something important. He flipped through the book and found pages packed with deep stuff about the sword moves he'd been practicing. For him, seeing those words felt like staring up at a sky full of stars he'd never noticed before. Everything seemed new and kind of magical, like he'd just unlocked a secret part of the world. He knew every single word. But when they all came together, the idea felt huge, like something as endless as space itself. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He looked at the kid, wondering if this was really his work. The younger guy just shrugged it off, acting like it was no big deal, saying it was just a wild guess. Meanwhile, the master is totally freaking out on the inside. He can't make sense of anything that's happening and has no clue how the hero just figured everything out so fast. It's like the hero hacked the system or something, and the master is just left there, confused and kind of stressed out. He remembered all those years he spent training, 10 whole years, and still, he barely understood the move. But this kid, he picked it up in just a week, like it was nothing. That stung. Things just kept getting worse for the guy. On top of everything else, he unlocked the infinite sword intent, but instead of feeling pumped, it just made him feel like total trash. The senior was struggling to keep his cool, but he didn't want anyone to notice. He told his disciple to keep up the training while he was gone, promising to come back in a few days. Even though he was clearly dealing with something heavy, he tried to act tough and not let it show. When he looked at his boss's face, our guy felt this sinking feeling in his stomach. He was pretty sure the boss thought he sucked and was about to boot him out. Feeling totally desperate, the guy clings to his master, not wanting to be left behind. After all this time, he finally found a place where he belonged, and the thought of losing it now just hit way too hard. For 6 months straight, nobody wanted to pick him. It was all because he didn't have a spiritual root, so he just watched everyone else get chosen while he was left behind. The main guy just stares up at the sky, trying to process what just happened. There's no way he picked up all that info just by looking at some clouds, right? It feels unreal, like he's in some kind of anime where people unlock secret powers out of nowhere. He can't wrap his head around it, but deep down, he knows something wild just clicked inside him. At that moment, the main guy made up his mind. He wasn't about to let this opportunity slip away. He looked around at everyone in the sect, thinking they were all total pros, like masters at what they do. The pressure was on, but he was fired up not to fall behind. At the sect master's place, everything feels chill and quiet. It's tucked away from all the noise, almost like a secret hideout where nothing really bothers anyone. The sect leader is just chilling in his garden, taking it easy with a cup of tea in his hand. He looks pretty content, just enjoying the view of all the flowers around him. It's a rare, peaceful moment for someone usually so busy. Out of nowhere, a guy bursts onto the scene, sprinting like he's being chased, panic all over his face. He looks totally freaked out, like he's just seen something straight out of a horror anime. The way he's yelling, you can tell something really bad just went down, and everyone instantly feels that wave of dread crash over them. The guy who just showed up is actually the hero's master. The sect leader notices how fired up he looks and wants to know what's got him all riled up. The swordsman starts thinking about his boss's big dream. It actually might happen soon since the sect is on the verge of bringing out a dragon. That's a huge deal. Dragons are super rare and powerful, so if this really goes down, the whole squad's about to level up big time. The second the sect leader hears the word dragon, he totally freezes. His eyes go wide, like he just saw something unreal. You can tell he's completely caught off guard, not sure if he's supposed to be scared or just amazed. The sect master just stood there, looking totally lost. He couldn't figure out what his guy meant by a dragon. He kept thinking about it, trying to make sense of the whole thing, but it was like hearing someone talk about aliens for the first time. Word got around fast. This new guy, who didn't even know how to hold a sword a week ago, had already nailed every move in the whole sword style after just 7 days. Everyone was pretty shocked. It was like watching someone speedrun a game on their first try and actually win. The elder looked serious, clearly not messing around, but his student just pointed up at the wild thing happening in the sky, almost like he was flexing that as evidence. The sect master realized he'd totally misjudged the situation. At first, he figured it was just some random pro cruising through, nothing special, but now he had to admit to himself that he was way off. He starts putting the pieces together and suddenly gets it. The real mastermind behind everything is actually the new kid. When the truth finally hits, the sect leader just loses it. Tears start rolling down his face and he can't hold back anymore. It's like he's been waiting for this moment forever. A real genius finally showed up, and he's so hyped he can't even hide it. The swordsman steps in, trying to chill out his boss, who's totally freaking out. The elder, feeling all worked up, grabs some water and dumps it over his head, trying to chill out. As the cool water runs down, something from way back pops into his mind, a prophecy he once heard. The guy's right-hand man is worried they might slow the hero down, but the leader knows the deal. Other groups have already turned the hero away. Yet, he keeps going on about how getting stronger isn't just about hard work, it's also about luck and fate. He warns that the dig sects out there are seriously risky, like, you don't just roll up and expect things to go your way. The stronger the group, the more dangerous it gets. The master decides to hold off on revealing everything for now. He wants the sect to get stronger first. Once the sect has grown, he plans to finally tell the young man the truth. By then, the young man will be free to make his own choices about the future. The swordsman finally gets it. He nods, showing he's on board with whatever his superior decides. No more questions, just ready to follow orders and see what happens next. The next day rolls around, and the sect leader is just vibing, taking it easy and soaking up his free afternoon. Just when he thought he could finally chill, a disciple rushed in, totally killing the vibe with some bad news. The swordsman shows up again, looking way more stressed than before. He seems like he just ran a marathon, and it's clear something major just went down. You can tell by his face that whatever happened isn't good. He's basically freaking out, trying to get everyone's attention. The sect leader pulls a face that's just plain weird, like he can't believe what's happening. It's the kind of look that would make anyone stop and wonder what on earth he's thinking. He spots someone coming and freaks out, thinking it's those annoying debt collectors again. Not wanting any part of it, he bolts, basically leaving everything behind and figuring his disciples can deal with the mess now. The master suddenly slows down, looking around with a puzzled face. He's not sure what's going on and starts to think maybe it's something different after all. He suddenly loses his cool and whacks his teammate for freaking out so much. It almost made his heart stop. Once the chaos settled down, the story shifted to a sick view. An epic sect sitting way up on a mountain surrounded by clouds. The place looked straight out of an anime, was tall buildings and cool scenery that made the whole sect seem powerful and kind of mysterious. The boss, looking more chill now, wants to know what's up. The swordsman, still a bit tense, slides a piece of paper over for him to check out. The school office decided they were going to look into every case where someone didn't have a ranking when it came to their relationships. The group found themselves in a tough spot. If they wanted to be taken seriously, they had to cough up 10 spirit stones within 2 months. If they couldn't pull it off, they'd be shut down, no questions asked. The pressure was real, and the clock was already ticking. The sect leader totally loses it. He flips the table like he's about to rage quit, making a huge scene. Everyone can tell he's planning to take this straight to the emperor, not holding back at all. A single spirit stone comes with a crazy price tag, 10 taels of gold each. For these guys, that means if they want to buy enough, they'd have to skip out on food for the whole year just to pay for them. Talk about brutal. The swordsman could tell his master was getting worked up, so he tried to chill him out. In his mind, he was curious about how many spirit stones the sect actually had left. Great shame, the elder lifts his hands in the air, spreading out 7 fingers for everyone to see. The disciple figured the leader was talking about carrying 70 stones, which sounded like a total grind. But the leader just shook his head, making it clear there was no way anyone could pull that off. The young guy starts thinking maybe his boss actually meant 70 gold coins, but his boss just shuts that idea down right away. He's totally desperate, hoping it's something good like silver coins. But as the master slumps to the floor, he finally spills the truth. It's just 70 copper coins. When he hears the answer, the guy totally loses it. Panic hits him hard, and he just breaks down, feeling like the world is ending right in front of him. He's still in shock about how little money they have, but his boss just nods, making it clear it's not a joke. The leader starts talking about how the sect used to have a little stash of money saved up. He found out there was this new fund for cultivation, so he figured spending his silver coins was pointless. The old guy explained it like some easy money deal, promising monthly paybacks if you joined in. It was just another get-rich-quick thing, and everyone seemed to be hyped about it, all trying to get a piece before it was too late. He had no idea the scammers were just playing him the whole time. By the time he figured it out, they'd already taken all his cash and disappeared without a trace. The sect leader's eyes fill with tears as he realizes he got played. He looks defeated, feeling embarrassed that he fell for it. He turns to his right-hand man, hoping for some comfort and just wants a hug to feel a little less alone. The senior brother feels totally crushed. He's sure it's over for them, like there's no hope left. In his mind, maybe it's better if they just split up and go their own ways. This time, the sect was totally finished. The master snaps out of it, determined not to let his sect go down like this. Now that they've got a real genius on their side, he knows there's no way he can give up. Out of nowhere, a massive blue lightning bolt ripped across the sky, lighting everything up super close to where the guys were standing. It was so intense, the ground shook a little, and everyone's hearts pretty much skipped a beat. The sect leader can't believe what he's sensing. He turns, eyes wide, trying to figure out where that insane power just came from. The swordsman suddenly realizes that the noise came from where his new junior brother lives. The guy looked up at the sky, trying to figure out what just happened. He started thinking if the new kid had leveled up again. The sect master just shakes his head, thinking there's no way anyone could level up that quickly. Even the top geniuses in the sect have never pulled that off, so he figures it's basically impossible. The leader decides to head down the mountain to grab some stones. Before he leaves, he tells his disciple to keep an eye on our hero, making sure nothing goes wrong while he's gone. A whole week passed, and the main guy was still out there, pushing himself on that cliff. Even after all that time, he hadn't given up. He just kept grinding, sweat dripping down as he trained, stubborn as ever. The main guy's out there, going all out with his new sword. Sweat's dripping down his face as he swings it again and again, trying to get the moves just right. Every hit looks stronger than the last, and you can tell he's really pushing himself, not holding back at all. It's clear he's serious about getting better no matter how tough it gets. He shows off some crazy skills, nailing every move like it's nothing. His older bro hangs back, just watching as the main guy goes hard with his training. He can't believe how much the kid has improved. It hits him that everything he thought was just hype is actually happening right in front of him. The swordsman feels totally overwhelmed. Watching someone with that much skill right in front of him is just insane, and honestly, it's almost too much to handle. It's like the pressure is pressing down on him, making it hard to even breathe. Right then, the guy spots his upperclassman and instantly straightens up, showing a ton of respect. The guy claims he's memorized every single one of the 1,460 moves. The senior brother suddenly gets hit with a wave of emotions he can't hold back. Tears start streaming down his face, and he just stands there, trying to pull himself together but failing big time. It's like all the feels just crash into him at once, and he can't help but let it out. He takes a deep breath and tries to keep it together, thinking about how just getting the moves down is only the first step. He figures he's going to talk things up a bit, or else everyone's going to catch on to what he's really up to. The hero shot his friend a curious glance, trying to figure out what level his senior had reached. The swordsman stands tall, showing off his confidence. With a strong pose, he makes it clear he's ready for anything, almost daring anyone to challenge him. You can tell he's not just answering a question, he's letting everyone know he means business. He pretends he's already reached the first stage of the strongest sword path. Our hero's eyes lit up, totally amazed. He couldn't help but think this guy was some kind of secret boss, hiding crazy skills no one saw coming. The senior just keeps the bluff going, acting like being at this level already puts him at the top in 10 different countries. He's got that confidence like no one else even comes close. The new guy stands there, totally stunned, when it hits him. His senior isn't just good, he's actually the strongest out of everyone. This whole time, he had no idea he was training next to a real boss. The guy suddenly starts shouting, totally convinced he just turned into a dragon. He looks shook, like this is something he never expected would happen to him, not even in his wildest dreams. He makes up his mind to start training hard so he can finally catch up to his brother. Seeing how determined he is, the older guy starts to feel a little guilty for being so nice to him. Just a few days ago, the main guy was living a totally normal life, nothing special. Now, everything feels unreal, almost like he's stuck in a dream he can't wake up from. The main guy stands there just watching the sunset. The sky's lit up with orange and pink, and for a second, everything feels chill. He doesn't say anything, just takes it all in, lost in his own thoughts. At the same time, his senior is just standing there, eyeing him with this serious, low-key, thoughtful expression. The guy wondered if the kid was some kind of scholar, but it turned out the newbie just liked reading books and drawing. The senior stood there with a grin, looking at the half-finished painting. He was already thinking about what would come next, so he called over someone to give him a hand, hoping this little teamwork might help both of them down the road. He pictures himself flexing to his friends one day, showing off a painting made by the guy who'll become the world's top swordsman. The main guy nods, a little unsure, hoping his senior won't care too much if things don't go well. He's feeling kinda nervous but tries to play it cool. Back in his last life, the guy decided to join a painting club just to impress a girl he liked. After grinding for 3 years, he picked up painting, thinking it might impress her. But in the end, she dipped and ended up with some dude who had way more cash. He's a mess, just lying there on the floor, tears streaming down his face. All that time he spent painting, hoping it would fix everything, and it still couldn't help him get the girl. The heartbreak just hits different, and now he's feeling like nothing he does can change how alone he is. About an hour later, jumping back to what's happening now, the guy gives the painting to his senior. The senior catches himself smiling, noticing how the kid actually looks pretty cool when he's all focused like that. The main guy gets totally locked in, putting all his energy into his art. You can tell he's in the zone, not bothered by anything else, just grinding and giving it his all. He passes the scroll to his senior, feeling a bit nervous that it might not be good enough. He hopes his senior won't judge him too hard if it's not perfect. His older brother just gives him a chill look, basically saying there's nothing to stress about. He goes ahead and starts unrolling the painting, acting like it's no big deal, ready to check out what's inside. When he finally saw the painting, his eyes went huge. He couldn't believe what he was looking at, totally caught off guard by what was on the canvas. When the scroll finally unrolls, everyone gets a look at an insanely cool painting. Right there, front and center, is the senior brother himself. It's like the artist just flexed all their skills to show how epic he really is. He stands there, totally stunned by the artwork in front of him. The picture shows the whole sky lit up with the soft glow of dusk, and it just hits different. It's like the colors are so real, you almost feel the evening settling in all around you. The Kinjian mountains totally give off paradise vibes, with flowers everywhere and trees that seem to go on forever. Right then, he can't help but stare at the painting. The way it looks, it's almost too real. Every little detail pops out at him like it could jump off the wall. The thing that really grabs attention in the drawing is how he put himself right in the middle. All eyes just go straight to him, standing there at the center like he's the main character of his own story. Even with just the side of his face showing, the painting totally nails the intense vibe of a sword immortal. Anyone looking at it can feel that crazy strong presence, like he's not someone you'd want to mess with. The drawing pops off the page, making it feel like the character might just burst out of the frame at any second. Heap stares at the painting, totally focused, like he's trying to find something wrong with it. Deep down, he's thinking that the painting's biggest problem is that it just can't show how awesome he really is. No matter how good the art is, it'll never match up to his own confidence and swagger. The hero grinned, feeling good about the compliment. He handed over the gift, wanting to show his appreciation for all the help he'd gotten. The swordsman checks out the work one more time, and suddenly, he spots something he totally missed earlier. He notices a tiny red mark down in the corner of the scroll, kind of like someone left their name there. The signature on the paper says Kingly and Hermit, and the guy can't help but mess with the kid about picking such a flashy name for himself. Out of nowhere, a strong voice echoed through the room, grabbing everyone's attention. It was calling for Change Yu, the main guy's older bro. The vibe shifted instantly, and you could tell something big was about to go down. The swordsman hears a familiar voice in his head and instantly knows it's the Sect master reaching out to him, using their special way of sending messages. He picks up the painting, holding it for a moment as his mind races. He's curious, trying to figure out what kind of plan his leader might have up his sleeve this time. At the Teiyu Sword Sect, which was known as one of the top 3 sects under King Zhou, things suddenly got wild. Out of nowhere, someone went off and hit the place with a crazy strong attack. The whole area shook, and everyone knew instantly that this was serious. Out of nowhere, a burst of purple energy starts swirling in the sky, twisting and turning until it looks just like a dragon. The whole thing is crazy intense, with the dragon shape glowing and everyone below staring up, completely caught off guard. It's the kind of moment that makes you stop whatever you're doing and just watch, wondering what's about to go down. Next up, the scene shifts to the Sword Comprehension Cliff. There, a symbol suddenly lights up, shining brighter than ever. The guy freezes, totally caught off guard by how powerful the sword mark from the Four Seasons ancestor is. It's like he can't believe what he's seeing. His mind just blanks out for a second. The energy coming off that mark is way more intense than he expected, and it hits him with that "no way, this is real" feeling. A girl standing next to him made it clear she thought only geniuses would show up to a place like this. Out of nowhere, the mark on the rock starts glowing, and then it lets out this insane burst of energy that hits everyone around. Right then, a blonde dude lights up, fist pumping the air because he finally gets how the technique works. He grinned as he drew the energy straight from the cliff, feeling it gather in his hand. One of the cultivators just can't believe his eyes. Su Heng actually mastered the sword to its highest level. The young woman can't help but think the guy's on another level. Most people would need 3 years to pull this off, but he just breezed through it in 1. In her eyes, that's straight genius status. The sect elders hung back, watching from afar as the disciples did their thing. They kept a close eye on how everyone was doing, checking out who was crushing it and who needed to step up their game. One of the masters looked over at his fellow teacher, giving him that classic nod of respect. He was honestly impressed by the guy's student. Everyone could see the kid had serious skills. The whole sect was starting to notice, and it was kind of a big deal. The master felt pretty proud, like he was part of something cool, and the vibe in the room shifted as everyone realized just how talented this new disciple really was. Su Heng's master can't hide the grin on his face, clearly proud of what Su Heng just pulled off. Still, he acts all chill, pretending like it's no big deal, even though everyone can tell he's secretly loving the attention. Just as everyone starts to get excited, another older guy with bright red hair steps in. He's not celebrating yet though. He thinks it's way too soon for that, and his serious vibe instantly kills the hype in the room. He goes on, thinking about how his own students still haven't leveled up. They're stuck because they're not giving it their all, kind of holding back for some reason. Haired elder couldn't handle the trash talk. His face turned red with anger, and he totally lost his cool. You could tell he was about to blow up. Before things could get out of hand, another master stepped in and shut it down. He made it clear that they couldn't throw hands, since the boss had already laid down the law. The other 2 guys glanced over, clearly curious about what the sect leader was thinking. They waited, wanting to see what plan he would come up with next. The guy lets everyone know that if you make it into the top 10 at the conference, you'll get a special prize. When they heard the news, both old guys just froze. Their eyes went wide, and you could tell their minds were totally blown. They definitely weren't ready for that kind of surprise. The prize is basically a pass that lets you get into the Taichuan Sword Tower, where a bunch of tough challenges are waiting. Zhong's master shot him a sly grin, totally confident that his student was going to make the cut. He gets a little hyped, thinking he's already won, but his buddy gives him that look, basically telling him not to get ahead of himself. If he messes up now, the embarrassment would be next level. The other guy just cracks up, acting all cocky. He's so sure of himself that he even makes a bet. If anyone who isn't from one of the 3 main groups actually wins, he'll be stuck cleaning the bathrooms. The story jumps back to the Kinyin sect, zooming in on the sect master's place. Inside the room, the sect leader hangs out with the hero's senior brother. The vibe is pretty serious, like they're discussing something important. You can tell the senior brother respects the leader a lot, standing straight and paying close attention. The hero isn't there yet, but it's clear these 2 are up to something that might shake things up for everyone. The swordsman looked pretty lost, trying to figure out what this whole money-making idea was all about. The master finally shows what he thinks will fix all their money problems. A big pile of random junk. The hero's brother couldn't believe what he was seeing. He looked at the stuff in front of them and just felt straight up annoyed, thinking there's no way anyone could make cash off junk like that. E just grinned while the leader started showing off the goods, making it clear that these were their absolute best treasures. The plan? They were going to sell them, plain and simple. The swordsman really doesn't want any part of this mess. He's about to bail, totally done with being embarrassed. But then his master steps in, grabs his arm, and straight up pleads for backup. It's awkward, and the swordsman can't just brush him off, even though every part of him wants to disappear right now. Out of nowhere, the old guy notices the scroll and grabs it right out of his student's hands like he's not taking any chances. The leader lets everyone know the sect's running out of money fast. Things are getting pretty desperate, so now they're even planning to sell off the painting, hoping it might bring in some extra cash to keep them afloat. The two guys roll into the city and head straight for the Laikai pawn shop, not wasting any time. Once they step inside, a super friendly worker spots them right away and waves them in, looking excited to have some new faces around. The attendant looked at them, trying to figure out if they were there to make some cash or drop some serious coin. The master, cool as ever, let it be known he wasn't just some regular shopper, he had some fancy stuff to show off. The young guy, feeling hyped, couldn't wait to check out the cool stuff they brought with them. When the guy opens up the bag, his grin drops fast. All he finds inside is a bunch of garbage. The appraiser's face twists up, and it's obvious he's totally grossed out. He flips through one of the books and suddenly spots a picture of a woman wearing barely anything. His eyes go wide for a second. He definitely wasn't expecting that. The guy behind the counter goes beet red when he sees what's in the book. It's like he just got hit with a wave of secondhand cringe, and he's trying hard not to freak out. The master totally freaks out, realizing that's not the right thing at all. He knows it can't be sold and starts panicking, hoping someone will fix the mess before it gets worse. The hero's brother wanted to check out the book, and the master just handed it over, no big deal. The attendant suddenly drops an offer, 10 whole taels of gold for what everyone thought was just a pile of junk. The master can't believe it. That kind of money for random stuff? He's completely thrown off, eyes wide, barely able to process what just happened. The sect leader's face twists with frustration as he tries to work things out, but the employee just shrugs, totally unfazed by how good or bad the item is. The elder thought about backing off, maybe dropping things down to 8 taels, but the young guy wasn't having it. He shut it down right away, not even giving it a chance. The old guy, looking pretty stressed, tries to seal the deal by putting 5 taels on the table. He makes it clear that's all he's got, hoping it'll be enough. Our hero's brother turns bright red, looking like he just got caught doing something super awkward. He's had enough of this cringe moment and just wants everyone to dip, hoping the whole scene will be over soon. Right then, the attendant spots the scroll and gets curious. He really wants to check out the painting, thinking there might be something cool or important about it. The employee spots the paper and instantly knows what it is. He can't help but wonder why someone would act broke when they clearly aren't. The whole thing seems pretty sus to him. The sect leader's eyes go wide when he sees the paper. He just stands there, clearly not expecting something like that. You can tell he's thinking hard, probably wondering if that paper is some rare, pricey stuff. The appraiser checks it out and is totally shocked. The paper by itself is worth more than 10 taels of gold. He takes a closer look at the scroll and spots a bright red signature standing out. As soon as he spots the name on the signature, the kid's face just freezes up. It's like all the color drains out of him, eyes wide, jaw dropped, totally shook. You can tell he's freaking out, caught somewhere between scared out of his mind and not believing what he's seeing. He pulls one of his assistants aside, wanting to talk in private about the item. The sect master just stands there, totally lost, trying to figure out what's going on. The employee's sudden move catches him off guard, and he has no idea how to react. It's like he's lagging behind in his own story, watching the situation spiral while he's left with a blank look. At the same time, the leader's eyes are locked onto the two guys huddled up in the corner, whispering to each other. He's just standing there, watching them closely, trying to figure out what they're up to. The coworker looked at him, kind of doubting if he really meant it, but the appraiser didn't back down. He was totally confident, making it clear that he hadn't messed up. The guy's whole vibe shifts. He flashes a grin and signals for them to hold up for a sec. The master and his student both felt pretty lost after seeing how things suddenly switched up. Even though they didn't really get what was going on, they decided to just chill and see what would happen next. About an hour later, the worker came back. He let them know his boss had checked out the artwork and agreed it was worth something. The swordsman wants to come clean and spill the truth, but his master shuts him down before he can mess up the deal. The leader spots his moment and holds up 5 fingers, making it clear that's the best deal anyone's getting from him. He starts laughing quietly, finally getting that everyone totally missed the point of the painting. The appraiser pauses, thinking things over as he checks out what the elder just suggested. The elder's apprentice always thought he was being kind of greedy, but the old guy just brushed it off, acting like it was all part of some big brain plan. Nobody saw it coming, but the dude actually took the 5,000 taels of gold. The whole room went quiet for a second guess. Nobody thought he'd go for it. The leader was ready to hype himself up for his genius plan, thinking he'd just pulled off something epic. But then he and his disciple saw the actual number, and it hit them so hard they were left speechless, totally stunned by how huge it was. The elder's eyes go huge, like he just heard something totally wild. He's so shocked he has to double check, making the young guy say it again just to be sure he heard right. The appraiser just nodded, letting everyone know the offer on the table was 5,000 taels. The two started to get a weird feeling, eyeing each other like something was off. They couldn't help but wonder if the guy was just playing around with them. He lets everyone know their shop means business and doesn't mess around when it comes to work. The swordsman stands there, totally stunned. He can't believe that his brother's random doodle could be worth a ton of cash. It just doesn't add up in his mind, and he's left trying to figure out how something that looked so chill could be such a big deal. He leans in close to the master, making sure no one else hears. He's basically telling the master to take the deal right now, before the other guys back out. He knows this could be the move that saves the whole sect. The master kept a straight face, looking like he meant business. He said there'd been a mix-up. Turns out, the real price was actually 50,000 taels, way more than anyone expected. The swordsman just stood there, totally stunned. His head was spinning, trying to figure out if the elder had really just done what he thought he did. He couldn't believe it, was this dude actually serious? For a second, all he could do was glare at the elder, wondering if the old man had finally gone off the deep end. The shopworker just stands there, totally shocked. He can't believe the old guy really wants 50,000 taels. But the elder just nods, looking dead serious, and makes it clear he's not taking even 1 coin less. Our hero's brother looked seriously stressed out, wishing his master would just use his brain for once. In his head, he couldn't figure out what kind of wild painting could actually be worth that kind of cash. Both of them are kind of caught off guard when the appraiser suddenly starts laughing. He's actually impressed by how confident they are, and it shows. Turns out, the shop owner was spot on. They definitely don't come off as newbies at all. The guy decides it's time to be real about the price. He points out that when it comes to art from the Shinglian hermit, it's not like the cost is out of this world. If someone really wants it, they could make it happen. The sect leader and his disciple just stand there, totally stunned. Their jaws pretty much hit the floor. There's no way that number is real, right? It's like their brains are trying to reboot, but they just can't process something that ridiculous actually existing. Right then, the elder is totally panicking on the inside. He'd just thrown out some random number without thinking, and now he's sweating it. Meanwhile, the master just looks crushed, trying to wrap his head around how a simple drawing could be worth that much. It's one of those moments where nobody knows what's going on, but everyone can feel the tension. He takes a moment to chill out, making sure he doesn't mess things up. This time, he's got a new plan. Just keep talking, act casual, and see what else he can find out. The master suddenly stands up straighter, looking super confident, like he's got all the answers. He starts to show off a bit, making it clear that he's in the know. Turns out, other shops have noticed the artist's work too, and the master just can't help but flex that he's aware of it before anyone else. The attendant kept talking, letting everyone know that Shinglian Hermit's name wasn't a secret anymore. By now, he was already kind of a big deal among art pros, and word about him had spread pretty far. He hadn't been around for long, but people were already hyping him up as the best scholar in the country. Everyone was going crazy over his calligraphy, saying it was next level and nothing like anyone had seen before. Everyone at the office can't help but notice how insane his painting skills are. Every time he picks up a brush, you can just feel the passion in his work, and people are always blown away when they see what he's created. All across the country, guys keep hearing about this young dude whose poetry is basically blowing up. Girls everywhere are getting hooked on his words, totally into his scrolls and paintings. They can't help but admire his work, almost like he's got some kind of magic that draws them in. A lot of guys stay up late just wondering what the artist really looks like. They can't help but picture the dude behind all that talent and mystery, trying to guess what kind of genius is hiding behind the scenes. Guys who used to think they were the smartest in the room have pretty much given up whenever he's around. Now, everyone's trying to copy his style or break down what he does, hoping they can pick up a thing or two from the guy everyone looks up to. The hermit had this wild way of doing art that nobody had seen before. It totally shook up the whole scene, making everyone rethink what art could be. But just when things were getting interesting, he disappeared out of nowhere. The world never really got the chance to find out who he was, which kind of sucks. Nobody ever got to see what this guy actually looked like. That's just how it went. The sad part? He vanished before anyone even realized how awesome his work really was. He started thinking about how scholars always cared a lot about their reputation, like it was the most important thing ever. But then he saw the artist just toss that aside, acting like it didn't matter at all. That move hit him hard. On one hand, he felt embarrassed, like maybe he'd been worrying about the wrong things. But at the same time, he couldn't help but respect the artist for having the guts to be different. The master and his student are seriously freaking out, sweating like crazy because they can't believe what they just heard. Then, it hits the old guy. Everyone's actually talking about his own apprentice, the main character. The guy realizes the story matches everything he's heard before, but he can't help but throw in a warning. Since it's a portrait, there's a big catch with the painting. Something about it just isn't right. The hero's brother stands there, feeling super awkward. He honestly thought his good looks would make the painting better, but now he just feels like an idiot for even thinking that. Embarrassment hits him hard, and he wishes he could just disappear. The master walked in, surrounded by this intense, almost spooky vibe that made everyone stop what they were doing and look at him. Even the elder, who usually kept things chill, had to step in and let him know that the artwork wasn't going to sell for as much as they thought. So, reality hit a bit, plans were changing, and the mood definitely shifted. The appraiser was mad. He couldn't believe how much value had just disappeared. All those stories, all that history just thrown away. It really got to him that something as simple as a portrait could mess up a masterpiece this badly. He was fuming, feeling like everything he cared about had just been wasted. The elder's eyes start glowing bright red, looking super intense, like he's ready to go full beast mode and just eat someone right then and there. His apprentice, noticing things are getting way too heated, tries to chill him out, not wanting them to get caught or make a scene. The master shakes off his nerves and gets straight to the point, wanting to skip all the small talk. He just wants to know the price. The shop doesn't waste time either. They throw out an offer of 10,000 taels, since the painting isn't some fancy landscape piece. The sect leader doesn't even hesitate. He just goes for it and takes the deal right away. The guy looks like someone you can count on, so the leader decides to trust him. All he wants now is for the money to show up fast. Once the deal was done, the two guys stepped out of the shop and made their way back into the city. The sun was out in full force, lighting up the busy streets as they weaved through the crowd, feeling that mix of relief and excitement after getting business sorted. The apprentice wondered why his master didn't just check out another shop. But the old man seemed satisfied, like he'd seen all he needed and was done for the day. So, they decided to call it quits right there. The sect leader's face turned serious as he laid out his plan to the young guy. He made it clear that if anyone found out what they were up to, they'd be in deep trouble, all because of that piece of artwork. The weight of the situation hit hard. This wasn't just some low-key mission. One wrong move, and things could get really dangerous, fast. The hero's brother couldn't help but be amazed at how chill and wise the master was. The old guy couldn't resist showing off a bit, acting all proud because, hey, that's why he's the boss around here. The two guys checked out the cash they just scored, grinning like they just beat the final boss. Finally, they had enough money to keep their sect from going broke. The master lifts the gold high, pumped up and grinning like he just won the lottery. He can't help but flex a bit knowing the sect's problems are over. His disciples right there with him, eyes wide. Dude's never even dreamed of this much cash. Both of them are straight up buzzing, feeling like nothing can stop them now. The good vibes don't last long. The old man gets annoyed, thinking the apprentice is getting a bit full of himself by wanting his own portrait. That sets off a chain of thoughts in the master's head. He starts getting suspicious, thinking about where this kid really came from. He can't help but wonder just how many secrets this young artist is still keeping under wraps. The hero's brother couldn't help but wonder what was up with this kid. Maybe the guy had his own reasons for what he did, or maybe he didn't even realize how talented he was. But honestly, what really threw him off was how the kid managed to score such pricey rice paper. That didn't make any sense to him at all. The elder just shrugs it off, thinking everyone's got stuff they'd rather keep to themselves. He figures there's no point digging around for answers. When the time's right, the kid will spill everything on his own. The apprentice wasn't expecting the elder to suddenly act so serious. He figured the master would just keep trying to squeeze more paintings from his younger brother, but now they were headed somewhere, and he had no clue where. The shift in mood totally caught him off guard. The sect leader flashes a sly grin, clearly up to something. He's got this idea to hook his disciple up with a big reward. After all, the kid just pulled off a major save and kept the whole sect from going broke. Now, the leader wants to show some serious appreciation. The two guys finally showed up in front of this massive pavilion that just screamed importance. The whole place had this weird, mysterious vibe, almost like something straight out of an anime. It was the kind of spot that made you feel like something big was about to go down. The swordsman just stood there, totally stunned as everything clicked in his head about what his master was up to. He couldn't believe it at first, and for a second he was completely lost for words. Once he managed to process it, his mind started racing, trying to figure out if the elder was actually serious about going into the Pavilion of Origin. The apprentice couldn't help but wonder if his master was taking things a little too far. After all, they just walked into the priciest shop in all of Bago, and that wasn't exactly the kind of place most people just strolled into without a second thought. The elder could see the worry on his face, so he tried to calm him down. He wanted him to know there was nothing to freak out about. The cash wasn't shady or anything. It was just money the younger brother had worked for. The elder had seen enough to trust the younger brother when things really mattered, and he knew the kid could handle himself when it counted. The elder thinks everything about the future, especially when it comes to relationships and stuff, all rides on the main guy. It's like if this dude wins, everyone's got a shot, but if he fails, it's game over. So, all the pressure is on this one genius kid to make it happen. The swordsman can't believe how pricey this place is. He's low-key freaking out about the cost. But his master just flashes a stack of cash, grinning like it's no big deal, totally flexing on him. The elder gave his apprentice a look that basically said, enough talking. He wanted him to quit running his mouth and start acting like he actually owned the place. The elder knew that if you walked around with enough swagger, like you had money and didn't care what anyone thought, people would start to believe you were powerful. Confidence was everything. As soon as they walk in, two stunning girls show up and welcome them. The girls give off this mysterious vibe, making the place feel even more intriguing as they invite the guys deeper into the Origin Pavilion. The master's face turned bright red as he looked around, totally blown away by the place. He couldn't help but think this had to be what life was like for the rich, so different from the old pawn shop he was used to. The attendant came over, checking if they were interested in magic tools or maybe some manuals. The sect leader didn't hesitate. He wanted the best stuff they had and went straight to asking how much it would cost. The lady at the counter lets him know that first-class manuals usually go for a whopping 100,000 taels. But today, he's in luck. The shop's celebrating its anniversary, so everything's 30% off. The hero's brother just stared at the number, jaw practically on the floor. The price was so wild he couldn't even process it. His mind started racing, and before he knew it, he was freaking out big time, totally losing his cool. The other guy working there just grinned and nodded, making it clear the price was legit. He gave off that vibe like, if they waited until after the event, they'd totally miss out on a deal this good. The guy is totally crushed. He feels broke, like he's got nothing compared to everyone else. Looking at how rich people live, it hits him hard. He can't even wrap his head around that kind of life. The young guy's freaking out, totally losing his cool, and his master's just trying to calm him down, telling him to toughen up a bit. But deep down, the apprentice knows they're broke. The cash they have isn't even enough to buy a single set. The hero's brother wanted to know how much it would cost just to get the first volume. When he asked the woman, the sect leader looked totally lost, like he had no idea what was going on. The attendant looks pretty shocked and can't believe the guy actually wants to buy just the first volume. He tries to warn him, saying that grabbing only the intro book is basically pointless. It's not enough to really get into the story. The swordsman could tell she was worried about whether the sword would actually be any good, but he brushed it off, not really caring. The woman behind the counter gave him a heads up that once he bought it, there were no takebacks. Still, he wanted to know how much it was going to cost, so he asked her for the price again. The master couldn't believe how much cash was getting dropped right now. It seemed totally nuts to him. But then his apprentice nudged him, reminding him just how fast the hero picks up new stuff. Honestly, the hero's got that main character energy, always leveling up way quicker than anyone else. The sect leader suddenly remembers how this kid figured out a whole technique just by looking at one sword mark. It hits him that the guy really might be able to pull this off. With a confident grin, the older guy nodded, totally sure that the first batch would be plenty to handle that beast. He was already thinking about how much cash they'd rake in from this deal, easy money, no doubt. Not long after, the attendant came back holding 3 different manuals, each one looking kind of mysterious. The elder checked them out, clearly thinking about which one packed the biggest punch. He wanted to know which manual was the strongest out of the bunch. He suggests the river flow sword technique, thinking it's pretty solid. If someone's got real talent, they might even level up and figure out the next stage just by practicing it. The woman drops a bomb, saying this is actually the priciest item in the place, 9,000 taels of gold. The apprentice is so stunned by the number, it's like his soul almost pieces out of his body. The master, knowing the risks, puts all his trust in his disciple's talent. With a fired-up energy, he goes all in and signals for her to finish up with the pricey manual, hoping his gamble will pay off. He tells them to spend all the leftover cash on pills. The younger guy wonders if they shouldn't save a little, but the older dude just shrugs it off. He isn't interested in holding back or saving anything for later. The hero's brother couldn't move a muscle. He was totally frozen. He just stared at his master, his face showing pure shock. He never expected his master to drop all the sex money in one go like that. The old guy looked totally crushed, clinging to his cash like it was his last lifeline. Tears welled up in his eyes, but he still didn't want to fork over the money. You could just tell he was hurting, but there was no way he was letting go of that stack without a fight. As they left, the master couldn't stop bawling, tears streaming down his face the entire time. The young guy walking with him started to feel seriously awkward, wishing the master would chill already because he was getting pretty embarrassed by the whole scene. Out of nowhere, the elder gets this light bulb moment. He starts wondering if the other 2 brothers are planning to jump in and take the alchemist and array master exams too. The young guy nodded, thinking they were about to head back, but the sect leader shut that down real quick. There was no chance of going back just yet, and on top of that, the leader made it clear no one was allowed to even mention money for the next 2 months. The elder decided it was time to show his disciple something special, so he led him away from the usual training grounds. They ended up at this random stall, the kind you'd never expect. Instead of food or snacks, the place was stacked with manuals, just sitting there in piles, being sold by the pound like it was no big deal. Vendor behind the stall looks at them and wonders if they're interested in checking out some manuals by weight. The apprentice stands there, totally stunned. He's trying to wrap his head around the fact that this could actually be the legendary secret spot his master always hyped up, the one filled with treasures. It's almost too wild to be true, and he's struggling to believe his luck. The elder tries to calm him down, saying there's actually treasure hidden in that place. Then, out of nowhere, the elder drops a bomb. He found the young guy's sword technique in that exact spot. The news hits him hard, and he's left totally stunned, trying to process what he just heard. The sect leader isn't having it. He thinks the price is way too high, total scam vibes. He pushes back, trying to get a better deal. The vendor isn't backing down either though. He shrugs and says the most he can do is 5 caddies, not a single one more. The swordsman drops into a squat, digging through the messy stacks of books, hoping to find something cool. Meanwhile, his master's still busy haggling in the background, not paying much attention to what the swordsman's up to. The guy's eyes narrowed as he dug through stacks of old manuals, hoping to find something actually useful. He looked totally locked in, scanning each page like his next move depended on it. He ends up staring at shelves full of weird books, none of them helpful. There are sketchy fighting guides and some super cringe romance novels. Definitely not what he's looking for. The guy totally loses it when he figures out everything he's been learning is just trash. None of those fancy moves actually work, and he feels like he's been wasting his time on useless stuff. The master comes back looking super happy, clutching his shopping bag like he just scored big. The young guy starts thinking about his master, wondering if he's planning to grab anything for himself. But the old man just throws the question back at him, like he doesn't really know what he'd even pick out. The old guy just grinned, brushing off any attention like it was no big deal. What really made him happy was seeing his students and the whole sect thriving. That was all he needed. Just knowing everyone was doing alright put a real smile on his face. The young guy can't help but think his master is being kind of cringe with all that dramatic attitude. But his teacher isn't having any of it. He gets super mad and says if the kid doesn't master the technique in just 7 days, he's in for some serious punishment. The sect leader realized he had to pick up the basics himself, just enough to make it look like he was actually teaching the main character. Meanwhile, their real plan was to mess with the kid by giving him fake manuals, hoping he wouldn't catch on. The swordsman starts to get a bit anxious. He can't help but think about how the hero always picks things up super fast, almost like he's got some kind of cheat code. Even though the manuals are fake, the swordsman isn't sure if that would even slow the hero down. With the hero's crazy learning skills, maybe he'd still find a way to get something useful out of them. The older guy cracks up, making it super obvious that the younger dude is totally shook by how good the main character is. Turns out, the skills everyone was hyped about didn't even come from that stall. He lets everyone know that the stall books might talk about real moves, but in the end, they're just made-up stories. They sound cool, but you can't really use them in real life. He holds up a couple of kids' books, thinking there's no way anyone would mistake them for real cultivation techniques. Only someone totally new, like our main guy, would fall for something like that. The young guy looked confused, wondering why the master said he'd hand out the books to everyone else. Turns out, the master was just messing with him. It was all a joke. He actually planned to keep the books and just show them off as decoration. Classic troll move. The old guy couldn't help but crack up at the thought of anyone actually learning something from those books. He thought it was such a joke, he even said he'd chow down on the books if someone managed to pull it off. The swordsman came up with a plan. He figured they could mess with the main guy, get him to make another painting, and maybe that would help sort out whatever was going on with the other brother. It was kind of sneaky, but it felt like the fastest way to fix things. The leader lets out a deep sigh, already knowing that ideas crossed his mind before. Still, he can't help but feel a little guilty for using the hero like some kind of cash cow, even if the sect needs to level up and get stronger. The elder really couldn't stand getting stuck in tough decisions like this. Stuff like that just annoyed him to no end, so he usually just put it off and told himself he'd deal with it later. The guy decides to switch things up and tells his apprentice to train the main dude for 2 months to get ready for a sword competition. That move totally catches the hero off guard. He did not see that coming. The apprentice just heard about the conference, and it totally caught him off guard. He couldn't believe it at first and had to check if his master was actually for real about it. He totally freaks out, realizing the main guy's got zero energy left in the tank. This isn't just for show anymore. Things just got real, and it's going to be a tough fight to the finish. The guy thinks back to the last time he tried this. Even then, he only just squeezed into the top 500, mostly thanks to some serious luck. Looking at the competition now, he can't help but feel like our hero's about to get totally wrecked. The master just shrugs it off for now, saying he'll explain everything later. He tells them to cover for them and just tell everyone they only got back the cash they lost. Back on the mountain, the main guy is out there working on his sword skills again. He's sweating, swinging the blade over and over, trying to get every move just right. The quiet of the mountain makes his practice feel intense, like he's in his own little world, leveling up bit by bit. The main guy is out there going all in with his sword practice. He swings so hard and fast that streaks of golden light start flashing through the air, almost like something straight out of an anime fight scene. You can tell he's pushing himself, trying to level up and get stronger. The senior brother can't help tearing up out of pure jealousy. He's been grinding for ages, but somehow, the hero picked up the sword's momentum way faster than anyone expected. It's like the hero just leveled up overnight, and the senior brother's left wondering how he pulled it off so quick. The moment hits, and the main guy finally spots his older bro hanging around. He gives him a nod, kinda curious about what the dude's up to and why he's even there. The swordsman walks over, curious if sword practice has started to feel a little dull lately. The main guy just shakes his head with a grin, feeling pretty chill about it. He's not the type to get bored, since he's always working on getting better at something. Every day brings something new for him, so there's never a dull moment. The senior brother just stands there, totally lost for words. He can't believe what he just heard and starts questioning if anyone normal would even say something like that. The young guy thinks that if he's bored, there's always something new to mess around with, like a fresh manual he could try to figure out. The hero's face shifts in a split second. You can tell he's totally over it, bored out of his mind. It's like he's just hit his limit and can't take another second of sitting around with nothing to do. He figures that if just a cut from a sword could teach him a whole fighting style, then getting his hands on a real cultivation manual would probably launch him straight to the top. The brother passes the manual over to the main guy, letting him know it's not just any book. It's actually about the old school moves of the demon god. The manual has a picture of this massive, scary demon getting ready to eat a ripped warrior. The guy looks seriously impressed. He can't help but think that a move called Core to the Demon God has to be on another level. Like, there's no way something with a name that cool isn't an insane technique. He's grinning like he just won the lottery, totally convinced that his sect is some hidden, overpowered group of immortals that nobody else knows about. The senior brother decides to cover his tracks by coming up with a wild story. He claims he stumbled across the manual while exploring some old ruins, acting like he has no clue where it really came from. To everyone else, the real origin of the manual stays a total mystery. Everyone could see that our hero wasn't exactly gifted when it came to using spiritual power. So, the guy figured the smartest move was to train the body instead. If he wanted to get stronger, leveling up his physical skills was pretty much his best shot. Deep down, the swordsman is freaking out about the lie he just told. His heart's racing, and he can't stop thinking about what might happen if someone finds out. Even though he looks calm on the outside, his mind is going wild, and he can't shake off that uneasy feeling. He bounces out of there fast, hoping to dip before his brother figures out the manual is a total flop. All he can think about is getting away without getting caught. The guy feels pretty pumped about his flawless plan and is already looking forward to acting like a legendary master all over again. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the main guy stood alone at the top of the hill. His outline was just barely visible in the fading light, moving back and forth as he worked on his sword skills. Each swing looked sharp and focused, like he was trying to level up for some epic battle. The night was quiet, just him and his blade, grinding away while everyone else was probably just chilling at home. He keeps pushing himself through tough training, sweat dripping down his face. While he works out, he can't stop thinking about that crazy new move he picked up, the one from the ancient demon god's art. Just remembering it gives him chills, and he's fired up to try it out. The kid can't help but get hyped about the new name. It sounds way cooler than whatever he used before, and now he's all fired up to jump in and try it out. The hero gets it. If he really wants to pick up something new, he has to lock in and give it his all. No multitasking, no half-hearted attempts, just pure focus. He figures it's better to chill for now and get a grip on his current moves. No point in rushing into some brand new technique when he hasn't even mastered what he's got. He's all about leveling up the skills he already knows before unlocking anything new. Next, the story shifts to Chain Ju's place, who's the main guy's older brother. His house sits way up on a mountain, pretty much away from everything. The swordsman chills out, sitting cross-legged on the floor. He takes a deep breath, ready to check out the real technique he just spent his hard-earned cash on. This is the moment he's been waiting for, time to see if this move lives up to the hype. The swordsman locks in, blocking out everything else. He's all about that new sword move he picked up back in the city. Every muscle's tense, mind focused, he's running through each step, trying to nail the technique. It's just him, the sword, and the goal to get better, no distractions allowed. He starts flipping through the pricey manual, but it's all just a mess of confusing words and weird diagrams. Nothing makes sense, and after a while, frustration just hits him hard. He feels totally lost, like he's about to give up right then and there. In his head, the main guy pictures a bunch of sword moves flying around, like clips from different anime fights. His imagination is going wild, showing off all sorts of cool attacks and combos. He keeps going, barely taking a break, and his punches just get faster and sharper every time. After grinding for hours, the guy finally gets the hang of the Thunder Sword move. All that practice pays off, and now he can pull it off like a pro. You can tell he's pumped, he worked hard for this, and it actually worked out. After pushing himself to the limit, the guy just stands there, totally out of energy from the crazy training. He tries to catch his breath, feeling every muscle in his body screaming, but there's a small sense of pride mixed in with the exhaustion. He figured the only thing left now was to nail the toughest part of the move. His boss didn't say a word, but he still got the message. There's no point in trying to speed things up. He knows he just has to chill and wait for the right moment. RMC thinks about how the manual showed up right when he needed it, almost like it was dropped in his lap just to keep him from getting too cocky. He grins, totally convinced that his older bro is some kind of strategy mastermind. After that, the guy grabs the manual he got and starts checking it out. The book turns out to be some ancient demon god's thing, like it's got serious dark vibes and isn't just any old book. The whole thing was about leveling up his skills, kind of like grinding in a game. He focused hard, trying to make his technique cleaner and sharper each time, wanting to be the best at what he did. Every little improvement felt like getting a new badge, and he kept pushing himself for that next upgrade. The story talks about this ancient guy who pretty much became one with the whole universe. He finds out that this is actually a way to make his body stronger, not just about boosting his spirit or energy like usual. Everyone always talked about this move like it was the ultimate flex. If someone could pull it off, they'd be able to smash literally anything in the world with just one punch, no joke. It was the kind of power that made people stop and stare, imagining what it'd be like to have that kind of strength in their own hands. The real mission here is to copy the powers of gods and demons, hoping to level up and get a body that's basically unstoppable, like something straight out of a fantasy game. The main guy just stands there, totally shocked. He can't believe how awesome that move was. It's like his brain glitched for a second, trying to process how next level that technique looked. He learns that this way is seriously tough. It's not just painful, it's the kind of thing that messes with your head and body. Only someone who's crazy determined and smart enough to handle it could ever pull it off. He flashes a confident grin, pumped up by the thought that leveling up without any real obstacles just isn't his style. Deep down, he feels like all those years spent geeking out might actually give him the edge he needs now. He starts checking out the main part of the page, but something throws him off. Right there, a stick figure is pulling off a pose so strange it makes him pause, eyebrows raised, totally confused about what's even going on. Inside the book, he spots a diagram showing how to train his body. He knows he's got to pay close attention to it if he wants to get stronger. He totally gets why the pose is supposed to work, but man, he just feels super cringe doing it. It looks way more ridiculous than he expected, and now he's just hoping nobody's watching him mess it up. He feels pretty embarrassed, but he figures he might as well try. Standing there in the sunlight, he awkwardly copies the weird pose, hoping no one's watching. His face turned bright red as he tried to calm himself down, telling himself that his older brother wouldn't mess with him like that. The main character takes a deep breath and pushes himself to concentrate. He feels a new sense of determination, sure that if he puts in the effort, he can actually get the hang of this technique. The Ink Scroll Pavilion stood in the middle of Jin Nation, looking calm and quiet. Inside the room, a guy looked over at a woman with white hair. He wanted to know if she had finished her draft yet, since the deadline was coming up soon and everyone was starting to feel the pressure. The girl looked irritated, clearly fed up with the guy following her around. She was already moving fast, trying to get things done, and his hovering was just making everything more stressful for her. The guy grumbles about how barely anyone bought her book, like, not even 3 people. He thinks she should try writing something easier to understand, something that gets straight to the point. The young woman got pretty annoyed and basically shut him down, making it clear that if he had such a problem with her style, he could just write his own story. She didn't care what he thought, she liked what she liked, and that was that. She decides to switch things up and brings up the favor she asked him about earlier, curious if he's learned anything new. When the girl hears the news, she gets really excited. She starts thinking about finally going to the academy, imagining all the new people she'll get to meet. It's like she can't sit still, already picturing what her life might be like there. 3 days went by, and the guy was still up on the cliff, sticking to his training. Every day, he pushed himself a little harder, not letting up even when he got tired. The wind was rough up there, but he just kept going, focused on getting stronger. He pushes himself way past his limits, and the strain is so much that he actually starts bleeding inside. He looked exhausted, feeling pretty beat up after coughing up blood 3 times. Even after all that, he still had no clue what was really going on. He thinks back to the manual, remembering how it said talented people usually nail it on their first attempt. That makes him pause and question himself, wondering if he's actually just not that good. Even though he's totally worn out, the guy just won't quit. He takes a deep breath, digs deep, and goes for it one more time, using every bit of determination he's got left. After that day, he started pushing himself even harder, training for 11 hours straight and only taking a quick 1-hour break to rest. He stared ahead, determination all over his face. Deep down, he promised himself he wouldn't stop until he figured out this cultivation method, no matter how tough it got. He starts to realize that sometimes, the easiest way to do something actually means a lot more than it seems. He thinks about the name of the technique, observing the heavens. He's not sure if it means checking out everything around him or just seeing the bigger picture, like looking at the world from way above. He remembers reading a book once. It talked about something called the 3 eyes mortal vision, celestial vision, and dharma vision. The details are a bit fuzzy, but he can't help but think about it now, wondering what all those strange visions actually mean. The guy thinks back and remembers that the dharma eye lets him see what things are really about and how they work. He realizes it's time to step up his game. He wants to level up, to really see what's going on underneath the surface of everything around him. He sets his mind on figuring out how the universe really works. All his attention is on trying to get what makes everything tick, not letting anything else distract him. As he watched the people around him, the words observing the heathens and Dharma Eye popped into his head and started to make sense together. His eyes lit up, and for the first time, he looked really calm, like everything finally made sense to him. As he looked out over the golden field, the young guy started to get what the technique was all about. It wasn't like he had it all figured out, but something clicked for him in that moment. Maybe it was the light, or just being there, but things were finally making a bit more sense. Most people look up at the sky and just see how huge it is, but they don't really get what it actually means. He suddenly realized something big and felt like he finally understood. It hit him that the manual was saying everyone already has both a demon and a god inside them. He couldn't help but feel a little dumb for nearly missing out on something so important when it was right there in front of him. The main guy finally gets it. He realizes he doesn't have to look up at the sky for answers. Instead, he just needs to check in with himself and figure out what he really wants. He digs deep inside himself, trying to figure out what's really haunting him. It's like he's on a mission to find the thing that's been holding him back, almost like facing his own personal boss battle. A soft wind brushes past him just then, and right away he snaps to attention, his eyes popping open. Right in front of him, this massive monster shows up, covered in flames and swinging a bunch of arms around. The whole place is on fire, making everything look wild and dangerous. The guy's eyes light up when it hits him. He's looking at his own inner demon god. At the 10 Nations Academy, some people hanging around definitely give off a weird vibe. One of the side characters, always wearing this weird, unsettling grin, starts to think maybe things aren't as hopeless as they seemed. He takes it as a hint that luck, or something bigger, is still on their side. Another guy steps in and calls him out, saying he needs to pull himself together. Right now, he just looks like trouble. The other guy in the group just shrugged, acting like it was no big deal. He didn't see any point in getting worked up, since those sky signs never really meant anything anyway. He figured it was probably smarter to just hang back and watch things play out for a bit longer. The guy with the sharp, uneven teeth looks at the gold and has this knowing look on his face. He thinks to himself that if this stuff is actually real gold, there's no way it's going to stay a secret for long. Up above, the star kept moving across the dark sky, standing out more than all the others. It caught the eye, brighter and bolder, making the night feel a little less empty. Inside the massive imperial palace of Shia, a woman approached the empress with some news. She told her that something strange was going on. The stars in the sky had moved. She started to think about what it would be like if this godlike person just showed up somewhere beyond their kingdom. The idea made her curious, almost like she was imagining a plot twist in her favorite series. She couldn't help but picture the chaos and excitement it might cause if someone so powerful suddenly appeared in a place no one expected. The red-haired emperor just sat there on his throne, looking pretty relaxed about everything going on around him. Nothing seemed to bother him. He shoots them a hard look, making it clear he wants that person caught. In his mind, everything around here is already part of his empire. Cold, endless stretch of land lay quiet under the night sky. Suddenly, a bright streak of light shot across the darkness, catching the eye of anyone still awake. Even in a place filled with wild, dangerous creatures, that flash of a shooting star felt like a rare, almost magical moment. Out on the ice, a huge beast with rows of sharp teeth is just lying there while snow keeps falling around it. Out of nowhere, a guy with white hair shows up right in front of the creature. He's got the thing by its tusk, like it's no big deal. The camera zooms in on this guy with a seriously built body. He's got that wild, almost untamed look, like he could be from some old school tribe or maybe even something out of a monster story. His presence alone just feels intense. He grins a little, actually finding it pretty cool that someone with godlike powers just showed up. The warrior figured that guys like him, demons or not, were going to have to put in double the effort now. After that, the group heads over to Chungi's place. His house is way up on a mountain, kind of out there and hard to miss. The main character's older brother looked pretty out of it, slumped over with a book in his hands. He'd been trying to read, but nothing he read made any sense, and now he just felt worse than before. It was one of those moments where the more he stared at the pages, the less he understood, and it was starting to mess with his head. He tosses the manual onto the floor, annoyed and confused. In his head, he can't help but question who would come up with such a ridiculously tough way to train. He takes a deep breath and decides it's not a big deal if he never gets the hang of the technique. He remembers his boss, who's always quick to lose his cool. Just thinking about how his boss would react if he found out the book might be fake makes him a little nervous. He sits there, looking really down. The stress from the loan shark is getting to him, and the debt just keeps hanging over his head. No matter what he does, the guy won't back off, and it's starting to wear him out. He stared up at the sky, feeling kind of lost and not really sure why he'd been off his game lately. As he let out a quiet sigh, a shooting star streaked across the darkness, catching his eye for a second. Every night, as the clock hit midnight, he'd start to feel really down. It was like this heavy sadness would just show up out of nowhere. He couldn't help but wonder if this was what being depressed was actually like. He sat there, puffing in his pipe, just staring off into space. As the smoke drifted up around him, he started to wonder what living even meant. It wasn't like he was sad or anything, just kind of stuck thinking about why people do the things they do and what really matters in the end. Up on the cliff, someone kept an eye on the man below, quietly watching his every move. The observer, a young woman, couldn't help but be curious about her older brother. Lately, he'd been spending his nights staring up at the stars, and she found herself wondering what was going on with him. She starts wondering if something's bothering him, and decides to see what Shu Luchin, the second senior brother, thinks about it. The guy explains that it's all because the rookie just isn't good enough, and their older teammate has no patience at all. He figured he'd spend tomorrow helping the new guy out, and maybe show his brother what it really means to set a good example. The young guy found himself drifting back into his thoughts. That image of the multi-armed demon god kept popping up in his mind, almost like a weird pop-up ad he couldn't block. No matter how much he tried to focus on other stuff, the memory just wouldn't let go. The creature's face looks calm and still, kind of like a Buddha statue, but its eyes stand out, glowing through the flames all around it. While he sat outside under the stars, the guy stayed locked in, totally into whatever he just figured out. Nothing distracted him. He was just chilling there, deep in thought, letting everything else fade into the background. His eyes lit up as he realized he had figured out his own special way to train his body. He tries to stay calm and keep his head clear while standing in front of the massive creature that shows just how strong he really is inside. The creature has him trapped right in its massive palm. Its presence is intense, making it really hard for him to even glance its way. The demon god's eyes snapped open, sending out a bright light that washed over the young guy, lighting him up from head to toe. Just like that, a rush of knowledge about cultivation fills his head all at once. It's almost like his brain's downloading everything he needs to know, and he barely has time to process it. Back in the real world, the guy sits quietly under the stars, mountains all around him. He's still meditating, trying to keep his mind clear in the cool night air. It's just him and the silence, far away from everything else. Out of nowhere, he wakes up and his eyes are shining bright blue, making it obvious something just clicked for him. He gets to his feet, finally realizing how this old school technique works. It's all about using the power of the sky and the ground together, kind of like the sky is the hammer and the earth is the forge, shaping and toughening up his body in ways he never expected. This move has 5 levels, starting out pretty basic with a small demon and going all the way up to the power of an ancient god. Right now, he's using the lesser demon, god chapter technique he picked up. It's already making him a lot stronger and he can feel his body getting tougher. Figuring out how to get stronger was all about learning to use spiritual energy. It was like tapping into the power around you, almost like plugging into a massive battery that connected the sky and the ground. Guys who wanted to level up had to draw in that energy and let it shape their bodies, making them tougher and more powerful over time. Going through this process is really risky. The body keeps getting messed up and then fixing itself over and over. It takes a ton of mental strength to handle it. The guy totally gets it. If you want a powerful way to get stronger, it's going to test just how much you can stick with it. The tougher the training, the more you have to push through. At first, he feels ready to go, but then it hits him. He needs way more spiritual energy just to get started. The thought makes him start to freak out a little. The thing is, he's totally out of energy. He remembers hearing somewhere that taking some pills might help him feel more awake. He pauses for a moment, a little unsure because medicines can be risky. But then he remembers his master once mentioned that the second senior brother actually knows a lot about making pills, so he starts to relax a bit. The second senior brother's place is up on a mountain. His house is perched right at the top, looking over everything below. It's kinda quiet up there, with clouds drifting by and the wind always blowing. The view is pretty awesome, like something you'd post on your story just to make everyone jealous. The second brother sat inside, totally locked in on what he was doing. He held out his hand, and there was this glowing pill forming in his palm. He moved like he'd done this 100 times before, looking calm and steady as the light from the pill lit up his face. Tomorrow, he plans to show his senior brother what it really means to step up and be someone others can look up to. Over at the older brother's place, the sun was already up and everything felt totally different. The whole vibe had shifted with the new day, making it clear things weren't the same as before. He drops to his knees, totally lost and annoyed because the cultivation manual just doesn't make sense to him. He stares at the page, totally lost, his face showing just how frustrated he feels. Nothing on it makes sense to him, and it's obvious he's struggling. He was worn out after trying so hard. At some point, he just gave up, dropped himself onto the floor, and decided he wasn't going to bother thinking about it anymore. Lying down thought about how, no matter how much effort someone puts in, it kind of feels pointless when everyone ends up the same way, just part of the ground. All that grinding and struggling didn't seem to matter much when he remembered that everyone eventually becomes nothing more than dust. The master showed up quietly behind him. Meanwhile, the senior brother just stood there, looking like he'd given up completely. The master keeps his eyes on him, almost like he already understands what his student is feeling. The master walked over and checked in on how Changju was getting along with the sword technique manual. The young guy stands up, a calm smile on his face. He doesn't seem bothered about whether he really gets it or not. For him, the important thing is just to let things go. The master squints, trying to see past the blinding glow coming off his disciple. He can't help but think about what kind of training this guy has been up to lately. It's honestly confusing, he's never seen anything like it before. Changju stands there with a relaxed smile, looking like nothing really bothers him anymore. He hasn't put any effort into training or leveling up lately, but honestly, he just doesn't care about any of that now. The master let out a long sigh, kind of like he saw this coming all along. He wasn't surprised at all and just made up his mind. They were heading to the Silent Forest Mountains next. His master thinks that throwing him into a life or death challenge will make him stronger, but honestly, he doesn't seem thrilled at all. As soon as he hears the name Silent Forest Mountains, his face goes pale and fear takes over. Everyone knew this part of Qingzhou was no joke. It was the kind of place where dangerous wild creatures roamed around and most people stayed far away. If someone ended up here, they had to watch their back, because these beasts were strong and pretty sneaky too. While the guy trains, his master points out that he can go out and hunt some wild beasts. It's a decent way to pick up some extra cash, and whatever he earns will help out the rest of the group. Change. You hesitated for a moment, clearly torn. He started to run off, making it obvious he didn't want to go through with it. But then his master called out and reminded him about the promise he made. That reminder hit hard, and Changju knew he couldn't back out now, no matter how much he wanted to. Four Thunder Sword Sect stands out as one of the top 3 sects under King Zhou. An older guy stood in front of his group, looking pretty proud. 7 of his students had finally hit a really high level in their training, and he was clearly happy for them. The whole vibe was positive, like everyone knew this was a big deal. He goes on, letting them know that 2 of them have already hit perfection. That's pretty impressive, and everyone can tell he means it. The leader watched the younger guys with a look of real pride. He knew these kids weren't just good, they were the best in all of Qingzhou. It wasn't just talk, their skills and talent actually stood out. Seeing them like this, the leader felt sure he was looking at the future legends of their city. He lets them know the next sword conference is going to be tough, and says he'll be the one to train them himself. None of the disciples could believe what they were seeing. They'd only ever heard stories about the sect master, but never actually seen him in person. Everyone started whispering and looking around, trying to figure out what was going on. The leader didn't care about the reason behind everything. What really caught everyone off guard was when he dropped some news. A secret group would be joining the event too. Everyone starts to feel uneasy after hearing the news. Knowing there's a secret group hiding out there just makes things way more complicated for everyone. These hidden groups come from old times, carrying down way more powerful skills than most people even know about. The story moves over to the Grand Hall at the Four Thunder Sword Sect. That's where everyone is gathered for the big meeting. The atmosphere feels serious, with people waiting to see what's going to happen next. In the main hall, all the sect leaders gathered and showed their respect to the master. The master didn't really care for all that formality though. He called them together because something serious was going on and he wanted to get straight to the point. The sect master walked into the main hall with his crew following close behind. Right away, everyone in the room could feel the tension go up. It was like the whole place went quiet and people started paying a lot more attention to what was happening. The leader faced the group, letting them know he called them all together because something serious was going on. Everyone could tell by his expression that this wasn't just a regular meeting. One of the guys at the event got curious and wanted to know what was going on. He wondered if all the trouble had something to do with the Sword Tower token. The elder shook his head, making it clear that things weren't that simple. He pointed out that something much bigger was going on, bringing up the 10 Nations Academy. Just hearing that name made it obvious this wasn't a regular problem. One of the women hears the name and looks caught off guard. She's thinking about whether the famous academy might actually be looking for new students again. At this school, only the best of the best ever get in. Most years, hardly anyone makes the cut because the standards are just that tough. The master let everyone know that the imperial court was planning to send someone over soon. They were looking for talented students to join the academy, and everyone started wondering who might get picked. All the leaders freeze for a second, caught off guard. None of them expected something like this, and now they're all dying to know who this random person might be. On this continent, everyone knows the court holds way more power than the sect. Because of that, the sect doesn't really have a choice. They just can't go up against the court no matter what. The elder pulls out an old scroll and unrolls it for everyone to see. There's a painting on it, and as the group looks it over, things start to make more sense. The picture helps everyone get a clearer idea of what's really going on. In the picture on the scroll, there's someone who looks pretty classy, just standing right in the middle of a field. Behind them, everything glows with this soft, golden light, making the whole scene look calm and a bit magical. The leaders took a closer look at the painting. Right away, they noticed the style looked familiar. It got them thinking. Maybe the person in the picture was the envoy everyone had been talking about from the court. The master remembers that the painter vanished about 6 months back. He thinks about how, if the guy had really wanted, he could have joined any group or sect out there, no problem at all. The elder starts sharing a story about a swordsman who was known for being incredibly skilled. Even though he was super talented, he ended up getting kicked out of the academy. But that wasn't the end for him. Later on, he managed to become an inspector general, proving everyone wrong. Everyone in the room was talking about the new inspector. Some of the guys had heard people say he was good-looking, and it made them curious. They couldn't figure out why nobody seemed to know anything about him. One of the leaders isn't really buying it and wants to know if the master actually has any real evidence to back up what he's saying. The elder stands there, looking confident, a small smile on his face and his eyes practically glowing. He seems sure of himself, like he knows something the others don't, and it's clear he has some sort of evidence to back him up. He tosses the scroll up, and suddenly, a strong golden glow starts shining out from the painting. The scroll suddenly bursts with energy, sending out a shockwave that knocks all the leaders backward. They struggle to stay on their feet as the force hits them, surprised by just how strong it is. Right then, it felt like the person in the painting was actually moving. The whole room got heavy, and everyone started feeling the weight of it. The guys in the room could barely stand. That plain-looking scroll in front of them was giving off some crazy energy, and it was hitting them hard. They tried to hold it together, but it felt like their legs might give out at any second. After the energy fades away, the elder looks at everyone, wanting to know if anyone still questions his sharp thinking. He points out that the painting somehow has sword intent in it, but since the artist isn't some martial arts master or anything, that really only leaves one explanation. The others look pretty impressed, realizing their master figured everything out just by noticing a couple of small things. They can't help but respect how sharp he is, even if they don't say it out loud. The sect leader gave a cocky grin, clearly full of himself. He acted like he knew everything and just expected everyone to believe he was the smartest guy in the room. During his travels, the inspector stood out as a bit of an oddball. He had this weird habit of swapping valuable stuff for everyday things, like he didn't really care about making a profit. People always wondered why he did it, but it just seemed to be his way. One guy in the group nods, while another wonders if they should try to get on this powerful guy's good side. The master doesn't allow it, thinking that pulling off an easy move like that would just make people at that level look down on you. The leader quietly feels pretty proud of himself, thinking he's the smartest guy around. He can't help but wonder how the rest of the group would even manage if he wasn't there to keep things together. The main guy is sitting by himself on the mountain, late at night. He's just chilling, trying to clear his head, with nothing but the quiet and the dark all around him. He thinks about the demon god art, but figures it's way too dangerous. Instead, he'd rather just ask about pills. Right at that moment, he hears someone call out to him, using a nickname he knows well. He turns around, surprised to see who it is. The guy let him know he was his second oldest brother and told him to just call him Luchin. The guy couldn't believe it when his senior showed up in person. He definitely wasn't expecting that, and for a second he just stood there trying to process what was happening. He gives a quick bow to show respect and greets the guy in a proper way. Luchin showed up to help out, mentioning that their older brother had a lot on his plate. So, it was up to Luchin to teach him alchemy this time. The guy starts to feel a bit unsure about himself. He wonders if maybe people just don't think he's that talented. That thought sits heavy on his mind, making him question if that's the real reason behind everything. His brother tries to cheer him up, reminding him that being bad with a sword doesn't mean it's the end of the world. There are other things that matter, and not everyone needs to be a swordmaster anyway. He sets his jaw, looking serious. Deep down, he's made up his mind. He's going to put in the work and push himself until people finally notice what he can do. The senior brother lifts his finger, focusing hard as he starts to pull together his energy, getting ready to use his technique. He waved his hand, and suddenly a giant cauldron popped up right in front of him. A massive cauldron hung in the air above him, and he couldn't help but be amazed. The main character stands there, realizing the conversation's done. It's clear things are about to get serious, with alchemy about to begin. The young guy's eyes light up, and he nods, totally pumped about it. The older brother let his little brother know that alchemy isn't just some random hobby. It's actually full of secrets about the world and how everything works. He starts wondering about the most powerful thing in alchemy, and right away, it feels like our hero has heard this question before. He thinks back and realizes he's heard this question before, but last time it was about learning to fight with a sword, not about alchemy. The young guy's eyes lit up as he started to wonder if his second brother was secretly super strong too. The main character thinks about how the best alchemist stands above everyone else. It's the kind of skill that makes even the toughest people lose their minds trying to get it. In his eyes, nothing compares to being that powerful. Even the toughest guys out there knew they had to play it cool around these folks. No matter how strong someone was, it just made sense to treat them with respect and not cause any trouble. Everyone wanted to stay on their good side. The senior thinks he's aiming too low and pushes him to dream bigger and go for something more daring. The main character brings up this idea that the most powerful pill out there could actually make someone a lot stronger, maybe even turn a regular person into a genius. He's pretty sure that with the right boost, anyone could change their fate and level up way faster than normal. The older brother thought his sibling was still just scratching the surface. In his eyes, the real legends, the best alchemists, could mess with the powers of the world itself, shaping the heavens and the earth like it was nothing. The thought of each pill being its own world completely stuns him. He just stands there trying to process what that even means, his mind racing with questions he never thought he'd have to ask. The next panel shows something wild. A whole universe is getting turned into a massive pill. Stars, planets, everything starts swirling together, shrinking down until it's just this single, gigantic capsule floating in the middle of empty space. It's the kind of image that sticks in your head, like something out of a crazy dream or a meme you'd scroll past and have to double tap. He starts feeling pumped all over again, realizing that becoming a master with pills could be just as epic as being a sword master. The main guy wondered if his senior had already made it that far. His senior just gave a kind of vague answer saying it was something like that, leaving the main guy even more curious about what he really meant. When he heard that, the guy was totally caught off guard. He thought he'd just stumbled onto another secret pro hanging around in the sect. The main character kept looking around, convinced that everyone in the sect was secretly super skilled. Meanwhile, his senior couldn't help but worry that he was picking up the same habits as their other brother. He shot the MC a weird look, almost like he didn't believe what he was seeing. Then he basically dared the MC to show off, wanting to watch him try to control the heavens and the earth right in front of him. The master decided to keep things simple since the guy was just starting out. He showed him the basics, not getting into anything too advanced. The young man felt grateful for the help, knowing he had a lot to learn. The senior started talking about how every medicine can have a bit of poison in it. He wanted to show the younger guy how to make pills that wouldn't have any of those bad side effects. It was clear he knew his stuff, and he seemed ready to pass on some real skills about making safer medicine. On the outside, he looks calm, but inside he's freaking out, worried that if he slips up even a little, everyone will realize he's not really what he seems. He talks about how poison and healing kind of go hand in hand. If you take away the bad stuff, the good stuff is gone too. A cloud of purple energy hung in the air, showing just how bad the ingredients really were. The older brother finally let his little brother in on the secret. Turns out, he didn't use any special medicine or fancy ingredients to make the pill at all. The main guy feels lost, not really sure what's going on. His brother steps in, trying to help him understand that sometimes things are happening, even if you can't actually see them. It's like when something seems invisible, but it's still there in the background, waiting to be noticed. The brother wants him to remember that just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Back when the master was still an immortal, he never would have believed that sword immortals were real. It just sounded too wild, even for someone like him. Now looking back, it's kind of funny how things turned out. The main guy gets it. He thinks about how he's kind of stuck, like a frog that's only ever seen the inside of a well and doesn't know there's a whole world outside. It hits him that his view of things is way smaller than he realized. While the senior talked, he let everyone know that the spiritual energy in the herbs wasn't always clean. As the herbs grew, something would mess with that energy, making it not so pure anymore. The toxin-free refining process skips using the ingredients themselves and focuses on gathering the pure energy from the world around. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. His eyes lit up, and for a moment he just stood there, amazed at the idea of making pills from nothing. It was like a wild dream coming true right in front of him, and he felt a mix of excitement and disbelief. He wondered if someone like him, who didn't have a spiritual root, could just use pills to get stronger. The senior lets him know that sure, it can be done, but no one really bothers. The effect is barely noticeable and it costs way too much for what you get. He felt a bit let down by the news, but honestly, he kind of saw it coming. The older brother got things started, ready to show his younger brother the ropes. He planned to walk him through all the basic stuff about alchemy, making sure he understood how it all worked. The younger one looked curious, probably a little nervous too, but his brother seemed patient, set on teaching him everything step by step. The master sees that the boy picks things up quickly and puts in real effort. He figures the boy could actually set an example for his older brother and maybe teach him what it means to be a good teacher. The scene shifts over to the Silent Forest Mountains. The sect master and the hero's other brother moved side by side through the thick forest. Tall trees crowded the path, and the ground was covered in crunchy leaves and tangled roots. The two of them seemed focused, their steps quiet as they made their way deeper into the woods. The disciple wondered if his other brother could handle taking care of the newcomer alone. He looked a bit unsure, thinking it might be tough for one person to manage everything. Everyone could see the boy never really lost his cool, no matter what was going on. He had this steady vibe about him, like nothing could shake him. The leader noticed it too, thinking the boy could handle whatever got thrown his way. Out of nowhere, a weird noise catches the brother off guard. He quickly turns around, heart racing, looking for where the weird noise came from. A small purple rat with a horn scurries across the scene. The sect master couldn't help but find it funny when his disciple got spooked by nothing more than a regular rat. Watching the younger guy jump back, the sect master just shook his head, barely holding back a grin. It was moments like this that made him wonder how someone could train so hard and still get caught off guard by something so small. But then, out of nowhere, this huge monster shows up. It's got these sharp crystals sticking out of its back, making it look even more dangerous. The next day rolled around, and way off on a faraway mountain, there was this single house sitting right at the top of a rocky hill. It looked pretty isolated, just standing there all alone above everything else. He wakes up and stretches, trying to shake off the grogginess from sleep. He strolls through the temple, taking in the calm vibe all around him. The place looks awesome, and as he checks out the details, he can't help but notice how chill everything feels. It's the kind of peace he doesn't get to experience every day. Soon couldn't help feeling annoyed. He was stuck in this amazing world, full of cool places and crazy powers, but he didn't have any spiritual energy at all. Watching everyone else show off their skills just made it worse, and every day he wished he could join in instead of just standing on the sidelines. He realized that what mattered most right now was figuring out cultivation and finding some answers. Wanting to learn more, he headed over to the library his master had talked about, hoping he could pick up something useful there. He gets to the library pavilion and looks around, noticing how clean and put together everything is. The place isn't fancy, but it feels calm and easy to be in, and he kind of likes how everything just fits together. He grins to himself, realizing that this is what a real secret group is supposed to feel like. The main character looks around and spots just one incense stick burning outside the main hall. He glances around, making a weird face, and starts thinking that maybe the sect is actually so poor they can't even buy enough incense. He quickly figures out that if you really mean it, even one small effort can make a huge difference. He pushes open the big red doors and finally steps inside the sect's library. The young guy gets there and starts weaving his way between the shelves, checking out everything around him. He starts checking out the titles on the spines of the books, scanning each one to see if anything catches his eye. Every book on the shelf held a different kind of skill inside. The hero couldn't believe how intense it felt just looking at the titles. Each one seemed to hit him with a wave of power, and it was honestly kind of overwhelming. He hadn't expected something as simple as a list of names to have that kind of effect, but there he was, feeling the weight of it all. He couldn't hide how happy he was. His grin stretched wide, and his eyes lit up just looking around. Anyone could tell he was totally into this place. He takes a deep breath and tries to chill out, reminding himself to stay focused and not let his thoughts run wild. He pauses for a second and lets out a slow breath, doing his best to keep it together. He realizes it's better to chill out and take things one step at a time, learning as he goes instead of trying to rush through it all. As the sun comes up, its light spreads over the temple, making everything around it glow softly. He woke up in the library, still kind of out of it. His head felt heavy, and for a second he couldn't remember where he was. The shelves around him were stacked with books, and the place was quiet except for a soft hum in the background. He blinked a few times, trying to shake off the sleepiness, and slowly sat up, hoping no one had noticed he'd dozed off. He rubbed his head, feeling a bit annoyed about having to jump straight into practice again, just when he was finally starting to figure things out. He feels pretty good knowing he's finally got the basics down about how things work in this world. He was surprised to see that the old human dynasties still had such a big impact on the world of cultivators. Even after all this time, their power hadn't faded like he thought it would. He sometimes wonders if his life would have been different if he'd just taken the imperial exams and tried to become a scholar. He starts to think about it and realizes that if he decided to play on the court, he wouldn't have been able to join the sect. Out of nowhere, a girl's voice snapped him back to reality, cutting through his daydreams. Out of nowhere, a really attractive woman shows up and wants to know what he's up to. Lingru let him know she was his senior sister. She seemed pretty happy to finally see him in person. He just stands there, totally caught off guard. Lingru walks in, looking amazing, and he can't help but turn red. He tries to play it cool, but it's obvious he's stunned by how good she looks. Lingru noticed that he was turning red, but the MC just brushed it off, blaming the heat for his flushed face. She gives him a supportive look, letting him know she believes in him. She wants him to keep pushing himself, and he feels motivated because she's got his back. Deep down, he knows she's planning to show him some awesome skills later on, and that promise gives him something to look forward to. The guy didn't expect to hear anything about the Supreme Tao, and it definitely caught him off guard. He started thinking if maybe she was a master too, which made him a bit uneasy. He shakes off the thought, finding it kind of funny. In his mind, there's just no way someone her age could be some kind of unbeatable expert. The guy hesitated for a moment, looking like he had something on his mind. He wanted to ask the girl something, and she noticed right away, giving him a little nod as if to say it was cool to go ahead. He pulled out a worn old book and handed it to her. Inside, there were all these steps about some ancient training method. He wanted to know if he could actually try out what was written in there. The senior sister glanced at the cover and noticed the title, 3600 Immortal Aperture Arts. She holds the book and lets him know he's good to go. He can totally learn this technique, no worries. The main character starts to wonder if trying to train without any spiritual power is actually dangerous. He thinks about what could go wrong, like messing up his energy and maybe hurting himself. The idea of a bad outcome makes him hesitate for a second. Linger lets him know that this move is super basic, so there's really no way he could get hurt trying it. She thought about it for a second and realized the manuals were pretty much useless. None of them really worked, and if they ever did, it would be pure luck. Lingre spots the main character just standing there, not moving at all. He gets this uneasy feeling and tries to get his attention, clearly worried something might be wrong. Tears of happiness rolled down his face while he took it all in. Right then, everything just felt right to him. The hero felt pretty pumped. After trying out a bunch of different ways to get stronger, he finally landed on one that actually seemed to fit him. It just clicked, like finding the perfect game or hobby. Now, he was ready to put in the work and see how far he could go. His senior sister gives him a nod, showing she's proud of him. She wants him to have some faith in himself, too. The young woman glanced over her shoulder and started to walk away. She hadn't planned to stick around, just happened to be in the area for a bit. It was clear she had somewhere else to be, and she didn't hang around any longer than she needed to. Once she's gone, he picks up his book again. There's a small smile on his face as he settles back in, flipping to the next page. It's like whatever just happened left him in a better mood, and now he's actually enjoying his reading. The book lays it all out, saying the whole thing about the 3600 immortal apertures isn't really complicated at all. Nobody really thinks about it, but the human body has a ton of secrets tucked away. Kinda like those monsters everyone's always talking about in games and stories. There's way more going on beneath the surface than most people ever notice. These openings in the body worked kind of like hidden monsters locked up inside. Every time one of them opened, the guy's body soaked up energy way faster than before, like double the speed each time. If someone managed to unlock them all, their training would go insanely fast, way ahead of what most people could ever hope for. The guy figures his main issue is not having any real spiritual background. He feels like that's what's holding him back and making him weaker than everyone else. He starts to see that if he can really get the hang of this technique, it might help cover up the things he's not so good at. His mind drifts to all the other moves he's picked up along the way, especially the Sword of Four Thunders. He also had the ancient demon body training technique, something powerful and rare. He also got some pills from his second older brother, and the good thing was they didn't have any weird toxins in them. He thinks about how much stronger he might get if he could tap into some spiritual energy. He shakes off his worries and heads out of the library, ready to get back to training. Jingli Mountain came into view, its rocky slopes rising up against the cloudy sky. The place looked quiet, almost mysterious, with patches of green scattered between the gray stones. Anyone seeing it for the first time might pause, taking in the peaceful but slightly wild vibe of the mountain standing there, steady and silent. The main character's master is completely stuck in the ground. It's not a great look. He can't move at all, and you can just tell this isn't how things were supposed to go. Anyone watching would probably be trying not to laugh, but it's also a little awkward, like when someone wipes out an escape video and you're not sure if it's funny or just kind of painful. The guys are going up against the huge monster that showed up before. The Sect master panics and urges his companion to run. He's quick about it, handing over a talisman, one of those things that can help you get away fast when stuff goes south. The younger guy stands his ground, not budging an inch. Even though danger is right there, he just can't bring himself to leave the old man behind. No way he's running off, he's sticking it out no matter what happens. The young guy gripped his sword, ready for whatever was coming. He glanced back at his master, basically letting him know to hang back for now. He wasn't going to run just yet, he felt like it wasn't the right moment. The master looks over, and can't help but notice how much the boy has changed. He remembers when the kid was just a scrawny little guy, but now his shoulders are way wider than before. It's honestly a bit surprising, the kid's growing up faster than anyone expected. Not long after, the main guy's brother suddenly seems different. There's this strong vibe coming off him, like you can almost feel the energy in the air. The old man starts to think maybe the kid had something up his sleeve the whole time. He rushed straight at the wild creature, putting all his strength into the attack. He goes for it, face set and a hint of a grin, landing a solid hit on the creature. The brother raises his voice, trying to scare the creature away. He stands his ground, hoping the creature gets the message and leaves them alone. With just a quick move, the creature knocks him back, sending him through the air. He ended up falling hard, his butt sticking up in the air while he tried to figure out what just happened. The Sect master stands there, frozen. He didn't see this coming at all, and everything he thought he knew just fell apart in seconds. The young guy looked back at the beast, feeling pretty satisfied with himself. He figured he'd already proven his point, so even if things ended badly for him now, he wouldn't have any regrets. The creature suddenly fights back, twisting around and sending out a blast of purple energy. The beast lets loose a blast of energy, shooting it straight ahead with force. The warriors stand together, tears in their eyes as they face the end. Each one knows what's coming, and it hits hard. Saying goodbye to everything they've known, they try to hold it together, but the emotion is real. This is the moment they let go, accepting what's next even if it's scary. Out of nowhere, a strong female voice cut through the chaos. demanding to know which demon was bold enough to cause all this trouble. The creature starts drifting off the ground, moving in a strange, almost glitchy way. It doesn't look normal at all, and anyone watching would probably feel a chill run down their spine. Out of nowhere, the creature bursts apart. The sect master and his student couldn't hide how happy they were. Both of them grinned, excitement buzzing between them. It was one of those moments where everything felt just right, and they couldn't help but feel proud of what had just happened. The older brother spots the woman and notices what she's wearing. Something about her clothes looks really familiar to him. With the beast finally down, the two guys turned their attention to the mysterious woman nearby, trying to figure out what her deal was. She spun around, looking surprised to see a couple of newbies wandering on their own. It was clear she was wondering why guys with only 2 weeks of training were out here without anyone watching their backs. The older brother's eyes go wide as he spots her, realizing who she is. He can't believe it. She's actually the third elder from the fourth undersect. The shock hits him hard. No one expected to run into someone that important here. She gives him a cold look, clearly not impressed. She spots something out of the corner of her eye and pauses, lost in thought for a second. The first light of morning hits her, waking her up gently. People nearby started to notice it as well. She starts to feel sweat on her forehead and tries to steady her breathing, hoping she can chill out before anyone notices. The older brother and his teacher both try to stay calm. They keep a straight face, not letting anyone see they're worried, even though things are getting tense. Both of them know they have to look confident, so they just act like everything's under control. The other masters walked over to where the sect leader and his brother were standing. The woman was with them, keeping a close eye on what was happening. The two of them lock eyes, both refusing to look away. It's like a silent challenge, with neither backing down, and the tension in the air feels heavy. Both of them watch the MC's brother, their faces showing a mix of confusion and curiosity. It's clear they're trying to figure him out, not really sure what to make of what they're seeing. He sees a bunch of eyes on him and can't help but wonder what their deal is. It's like everyone's staring, and he doesn't really get why he's the center of attention right now. The older brother's eye started to twitch, and his face got a lot more serious. The old man feels a chill run down his spine when he meets the guy's eyes. He can't help but think that someone who looks at him like that must know a lot about swords, maybe even more than anyone he's ever met. The older guy looked a bit nervous as he tried to figure out why the others were there. He hesitated, clearly unsure how to start the conversation, but wanted to get everyone talking. The sect master feels thrown off by how polite she's acting all of a sudden. He's not really sure what to do or how he's supposed to react. He looked kinda nervous, trying to play it cool like nothing was wrong. He just shrugged it off, acting like they were just out for a walk. The room goes quiet, and nobody says a word. The woman suddenly spots a rip in the sect leader's robe. She notices he's hurt and checks to see if he's okay. She hands him a small pill, telling him it should help with his injuries. Both of them just stand there, totally stunned. They can't believe what they're seeing. It's not every day you come across a pill this rare. The older brother can't help but feel like something's off about how nice she's being. He keeps an eye on her, thinking there's got to be some hidden reason. Not wanting to keep it to himself, he lets the master know he's not buying it, hinting that there's probably a catch behind her good behavior. He appreciated her offer, but he and his friends had something important to take care of, so they had to head out right away. Just as they were getting ready to head out, one of the lady's students called out, asking them to hang on for a second. The older brother wasn't surprised at all. He kind of saw this coming. Deep down, he'd already guessed there was going to be a twist. He walks over, wanting to ask the master something. The student lowers his head, hoping to find out who the master thinks really understands what it means to follow the way of the sword. The sect leader just stands there, completely caught off guard. He can't figure out why someone would even ask something like that. The question throws him for a loop, and he's left staring, unsure how to even respond. He flashes a confident grin as his passive skill kicks in. Inside, he's actually glad someone asked. That's exactly the kind of question he was hoping for. He turned away, feeling pretty sure he'd gone to the right guy for help. The master started to freak out a bit, feeling the pressure of the situation. He quickly signaled his student to take it easy, reminding him that they belonged to one of the bigger, more important groups around. He picked up a blade of grass and held it between his fingers, acting like it was a sword. To him, this was how you started learning to be a swordsman, even if it was just with something as simple as a piece of grass. Everyone in the elders group felt a chill run down their spines. The atmosphere got heavy as the older brother walked in, his presence alone making everyone uneasy. They could barely look up, too nervous to meet his eyes. Su Chenyu thought about everything he'd learned so far. In that moment, it hit him. The path of the sword wasn't anything fancy or complicated. It was simple, kind of like a lone blade of grass standing out in a field. That realization settled in his mind, quiet but strong, changing the way he looked at his training. A woman stands there, totally caught off guard. She tries to figure out what's going on, confused because nothing she's heard before makes any sense of this. It's all new to her, and she's just left wondering what's even happening. The sect master felt his face heat up with embarrassment. Right now, he wished he could just disappear or that the floor would open up and take him away, anything to escape this awkward moment. The woman looked confused, clearly not understanding what was going on. She turned to the main character's older brother, hoping he could clear things up. He tried to help, saying that understanding the sword wasn't just about fighting, it was more about what you feel inside. He shuts his eyes and pictures his own take on the phrase, a sword strong enough to break through the stars themselves. Inside, he's feeling pretty proud of himself, thinking his last line sounded awesome. He doesn't really know what it meant, but that doesn't stop him from enjoying the moment. The woman in the purple outfit and the person with her just stand there, totally stunned by what he says. One of the other masters suddenly stops, his eyes going wide. It hits him out of nowhere, like he just figured out something huge. The guy throws his hands up, pumped up like he just figured something big out. The others just stand there, caught off guard and not really sure what to say. The other two guys start freaking out a bit, worried that everyone else understood except for them. They get nervous, not wanting to seem clueless in front of everyone. Out of nowhere, everyone started shouting that they got it, acting like it was super easy to understand. The sect master can't help but feel annoyed by how clueless all these so-called masters seem. He looks at them thinking they're making a mess of everything and just wants to roll his eyes at how dumb they act. He feels completely overwhelmed. He starts to think maybe he's the only one who doesn't get it, or maybe everyone else has just lost their minds. Su Chenju turns his back on the wild crowd behind him, not even glancing at the chaos he started. He figured he'd already said everything that mattered. After that, it was up to them to get it or not, depending on how much they understood. All the girls who were top fighters couldn't help but notice Su Chenju. He didn't pay them any mind, just did his own thing and kept building up his power. The way he focused just made him stand out even more, and it was pretty clear he had their attention. Up on Qingyan Dao Sec Mountain, the hero sits quietly, lost in thought. The world around him is still, and he's just focused on clearing his mind, shutting out everything else. He was locked in, paying attention to every detail around him. Nothing could break his concentration right now. Argotognis looks up at the night sky, taking in all the stars above him. He feels calm just standing there, letting his thoughts drift as he watches the tiny lights scattered across the darkness. For a moment, everything seems quiet and peaceful. He already found the immortal spot in his body that lets him start training. He starts to feel annoyed once he figures out that turning it on takes way more spiritual powers than he has. He starts to realize that the simple stuff, like pulling in air to get stronger, is actually way trickier than it looks. It hits him that, to really get it, he has to put himself in the shoes of the very first guy who came up with the Q condensation method. If he can understand how that person thought, maybe he can figure out how all of this really works. He thinks about how most cultivators these days just go through the motions, following the same steps everyone else does. They don't really know why things are done a certain way or where these traditions even came from, they just do it because that's what everyone expects. The hero thinks about how some things just make sense, like how everyone knows that 1 + 1 = 2. But for Dut, it's not clicking, and he can't figure out why it's supposed to be that way. He thinks that if he can figure out this main cultivation secret, he'll be able to do things his own way. The main guy flashes a confident grin, feeling a new wave of determination. He's set on coming up with his own way to train, ready to figure out a technique that's all his own. He feels like every second counts, and he's got to use every bit of time to figure out what's really going on. A whole week slips by while the guy sits in the same spot, deep in meditation. Birds even get comfortable enough to hang out on his shoulders, like he's become part of the scenery. He opened his eyes, feeling let down. It didn't seem like he'd gotten anywhere. That kind of thing always gets under his skin. Ping was hanging out at home. Feeling stuck and annoyed that things weren't working out, the guy grabs a sketchbook. Drawing's always been his go-to way to relax, so he settles in, hoping that putting pencil to paper will help him clear his head. He notices the weather's actually decent today, so he grabs his stuff and heads outside. From his place, the view is pretty awesome, so he figures now's a good time to try painting it. Out of nowhere, he hears someone calling out to him, using the name Junior Brother. Su Chenju, who was a year ahead of him, didn't expect the main guy to be good at drawing too. It caught him off guard, since he always thought drawing was his own thing. The guy comes over to the main character and wants him to paint a picture of him. Yiping nodded and took on the request. He wondered if his senior wanted any sort of background added to the drawing, just to make it look a bit cooler. Su Chenju didn't really get why he needed a background for his picture. He thought it'd look better if it was just a simple portrait, nothing added. So, he decided to keep it plain, wanting the focus to stay on him. The hero nods, deciding to give it his all. He figures it's the least he can do to show his appreciation to his senior for teaching him alchemy. Not long after, the main guy grabs his phone and hits up his older brother to let him know the drawing's done. Su Chenju wasn't expecting it when someone handed him the scroll. He checked it out, kind of amazed at how fast the drawing had come together. He stares at the portrait, taking in every detail. For a second, he can't help but think he actually looks pretty good. The thought crosses his mind, maybe he really is that handsome. Su Chenyu notices the solid job our guy did and gives him a nod of approval. He doesn't make a big deal out of it, just takes the compliment without showing off. Yiping thought about adding his own poem to the painting, wanting to leave his mark. But his senior shook his head, feeling like the painting was already just right the way it was. He figures the main goal is to let everyone see his face, because that's what really matters to him. Adding a poem feels pointless. He's pretty sure it would just distract from what he calls his best feature. He'd been worried about how the hero was doing with his training, but once he saw that everything was alright, he decided it was time to head out. Su Chenju heads out after saying goodbye, already thinking about how he's going to share the portrait with everyone he knows. Back by himself, the main guy glances up at the sky. Something clicks in his mind. He suddenly understands something big about cultivation. His eyes lit up as he realized he didn't need to force the energy in. Instead, he just had to chill out and feel connected to everything around him, the sky above and the ground under his feet. He finally understands. Everything around him has its own spirit. The energy that's been trying to connect with him isn't something he needs to force. If it's meant to happen, it'll just happen on its own. Right then, something strange starts to happen. He feels this rush inside, like a spark waking up. It's as if a current runs through him, light and steady, and he knows something big is starting. Out of nowhere, this wild burst of red and purple energy showed up, twisting and shifting until it turned into a fierce-looking beast. The energy starts to shift, slowly turning into a massive candle dragon. The creature rises up, looking powerful and impossible to ignore. Its roar echoes out, loud enough to send chills down anyone's spine. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. His eyes went wide, and for a moment it felt like everything around him just stopped. The candle dragon locked eyes with him, its gaze intense and steady. In that moment, he understood. His so-called immortal power wasn't just some weird force inside him. It was this legendary creature right there in front of him, staring him down. He stared at what he found, totally confused, and couldn't help but wonder if it was actually Jujuan, the famous candle dragon he'd heard about. Yiping thinks back to his previous life and realizes that Jujuyun used to be a legendary god, known for having some serious power in all the old myths. He remembers that this god had the power to control time, switching between day and night like it was nothing. It seemed unstoppable, way beyond anything he could ever imagine. After finally unlocking his immortal power, he feels a rush of excitement. Now, with this new ability, he knows he can start training in the legendary arts that everyone talks about, the ones connected to gods and demons. It's like leveling up in a game and realizing a whole new world of possibilities just opened up. He checks out the painting he just finished on the stone, taking a moment to see how it turned out. He looked at his drawing and realized it just didn't feel right anymore. Something had shifted inside him, and now he wanted to change it up. He walks up to the painting, looking at it differently now. With what he's just learned, he begins to make some changes, adjusting the details so the picture matches how he sees things after everything that happened. After he finishes, he steps back and checks out what he's made. There's a blue sky peeking out through the clouds and mist now, and he can't help but feel a little proud seeing how it turned out. Up on the cultivation cliff, the second senior brother sits quietly with his eyes closed, lost in his own world. Nothing seems to bother him as he focuses on his meditation, looking calm and totally at peace. Out of nowhere, blue lightning began flashing across the sky above Yiping's cliff. He glances up at the sky and spots the clouds moving in a weird way. He stops in his tracks, caught off guard by a dark thundercloud overhead. He can't help but stare, trying to figure out what's going on. He notices the sky getting dark and suddenly gets that sinking feeling. Rain's about to come down hard, and he totally forgot the laundry outside. Panic kicks in as he thinks about all his clothes getting soaked. He takes off running, feeling anxious since those were Su Chang's nicest clothes. Back at Yiping's place, there's this strong vibe in the air. The energy around him feels way more intense than usual, almost like something big is about to happen. Right now, the main guy feels something strange inside him. It's like he can actually see a dragon shape deep within himself, almost like a constellation you'd spot in the night sky. The whole thing feels mysterious, and he can't help but wonder what it all means. The hero started pulling in all the energy around him way faster than usual. It was like the power just flowed into him, making everything feel more intense. Even he seemed surprised by how quickly it was happening. He notices the energy just starts moving into him on its own, kind of like water rushing through a stream. He doesn't even have to try, his body just takes it in naturally. The guy is honestly shocked at how fast everything is getting absorbed. He can't believe it's happening this quickly, and he's pretty sure even someone way stronger than him wouldn't be able to do it like this. Most guys training like this would just focus on absorbing energy and getting stronger bit by bit, but for him, the whole thing worked differently. For Yiping, things just work out easily. The energy flows straight into him, no extra steps or effort needed. The main guy has no idea yet, but he's already set foot on a path that isn't like what everyone else follows. His way of training is going to be a lot different from the usual stuff people expect. Even though he was moving way faster than before, he realized something was off. Only his first immortal aperture had opened up. The second one stayed shut no matter how hard he pushed himself. He figured the second aperture was going to take a while, so he chose to focus on something else for now. He started working on the primordial art of God, aiming to strengthen his body like a demon. It seemed like a good way to keep busy and get stronger while he waited. The guy reaches out his hand, ready to start the whole cultivation thing. He draws energy from the ground, letting it make him stronger. He focuses, reaching deep inside himself, and starts to feel a strange energy. It's like he's tuning into something way bigger than him, almost like the whole world is charging him up. The main guy calls out this epic furnace, and suddenly a fire dragon shows up. He taps into some kind of cosmic energy and shapes it into a powerful hammer, getting it ready for the next step. Suddenly, the sky lights up with a burst of purple lightning. Out of nowhere, a huge golden hammer appears, looking both powerful and mysterious. The divine hammer dropped down, heading straight for the dragon furnace. Yiping grinned, clearly happy with how things turned out. He felt pretty proud knowing the technique worked just like he hoped. Using spiritual energy to guide everything had paid off, and he couldn't help but feel like things had gone exactly as planned. Out of nowhere, a swirl of purple energy started spinning up in the sky. He could just feel it. This was something way beyond normal, like a power way stronger than anything he'd felt before. His eyes lit up as he started to understand just how powerful the thing he let loose really was. It hit him that this force was way bigger than he thought, and for a second he just stood there, trying to take it all in. Out of nowhere, A giant blast of energy crashes down from the sky, landing right on him. He could feel the energy building up, and it was about to crash into him. He realized he was totally stuck, and his eyes got big with panic. An explosion bursts right as it slams into the main guy. The power hits Yipping so hard that his body starts to fall apart, pieces breaking away as he struggles to hold himself together. He suddenly lets out a yell when the purple energy spreads over his arm and starts crawling up his side, burning and hurting way worse than he expected. When the explosion hit, Yiping's body was torn apart, almost like half of him just vanished in the blast. Right then, the hero can't help but think maybe this is the end for him. He braces himself for whatever's coming, clenching his jaw and refusing to back down, even if it means things are about to hurt. His eyes light up with a sharp blue color, standing out in the dim background. The energy slowly started putting his body back together. Once he's back to normal, he's still catching his breath. He looks worn out, like he just pulled an all-nighter or had a rough day. His furnace started getting off a strong, fiery heat. The main guy wastes no time. He throws up a golden shield around himself, hoping it'll keep him safe. Fire starts twisting around him, spinning faster and faster until it looks like a whirlpool. The main guy gets caught up in the fire, and the heat hits him hard. Pain shoots through him, and it's like everything else fades away except for the burning. He struggles, trying to fight it, but the flames just keep closing in, making it almost impossible to think about anything else. He wraps himself around the other guy, holding him tight. He's stuck right in the middle of those intense flames. He wants to scream from the pain, but his body won't move at all. He's completely frozen, stuck with all that agony trapped inside. His body ends up burned all over, nothing left untouched. Even though his fingers are totally burned, they still twitch a little. His eyes fly open, burning with anger. Smoke fills the air around him, but he pushes himself off the ground and stands up again. He lets out a loud scream, the pain hitting every part of his body. A strange feeling washes over him as his skin slowly starts to come back together. He changes fast, a bit like the armored titan 1 second. He's all muscle, and the next, his skin just covers back up. He steps out looking like a whole new person, muscles defined and stronger than before. Pain finally fades, and a wave of relief washes over him. He drops to the ground, completely worn out. After some time, the guy is still lying there on the ground, totally knocked out. He pushes himself up, moving carefully as he tries to stand. The first thing he notices is this intense pain hitting every part of his body. It's like every muscle and bone is on fire, and he can't even figure out where it hurts the most because it's everywhere at once. He gets back up, moving slow but steady, like someone who's been through a lot and just won't stay down. He spits out a little blood. Even after everything that happened, he keeps looking ahead with a blank face, kind of like how Mob always looks in those memes. He grinned, feeling a bit like Momo, and realized he actually liked this weird new feeling.